Alright. Good morning, everybody. Hold up. I'm level 34, gonna be playing a little bit of Lord of the Rings, and then once the Diablo 4 Campfire chat starts, which should be around 12 o'clock my time, 11 Pacific time, then I'll be switching over to watch that. So don't be alarmed at the sudden shift. I want to see what they have to say about Diablo 4 and the new season and because I'm going to be trying it out, so we'll see if I want to stick with it to get another level 100 or not. We'll see. So there's going to be a lot more Diablo 4 content on the channel, and there's going to be some V Rising coming up real soon. In fact, that starts next week. So yeah. So there will be some different stuff coming up along in the channel. And there's going to be some V. Let me grab my chat, make sure everything's ready. Everything should be good to go. Just skip this over here. So yeah, the anniversary celebration has arrived. Another anniversary? Didn't we just have an anniversary? Every year in the spring, the anniversary event takes place to celebrate a very special occasion. Decline. I've got to work on these book quests. I'm a little bit behind on my storyline. So I need to go down to Meluinen and get Gildor's help.
How may I help you?
Sell that for a whole gold. Actually, I can just take the stable master to Meluinen. Got some heavy horns going. Okay, here we go. Just out for a little ride down to Meluinen. So I should turn my truck mines on, even though I don't need. I finished up all the crafting that I needed for mastery and expert yesterday, so now I'm officially on to dwarf iron and platinum stuff that I need now, so that's good. Well, I guess I can't turn track mining on while I'm on a mount. Feeling quite virtuous. Grants a bonus to virtue XP plus 20% virtue experience gain. Difficulty 3 fearless. I already died, so I died multiple times yesterday. Alright. need to talk to Gildor in Glorian.
How can I be of service?
Book 3, Chapter 5, Part 1 of 3. A call to what? A call to elves. Greetings. I wish I could extend to you a warmer welcome, but these are dark times for the elves. The shadow of the enemy has grown long, longer than perhaps any had thought, and the elves of Lyn Gileath have paid the price for our complacency.
Mind my words, traveler.
This Council of Estildine, I wish that I could simply commit to such an endeavor, but it is not so simple. Many of my people are nearly overcome with grief and anger at what happened here, and the threats against Lyn Gileath are not yet dealt with. Our scouts tell me that the orcs in Nan Rathren are planning to move against us soon. The scouts say that these orcs are being led by a great Uruk of Angmar named Drekord, camps in the deepest parts of Nan Rathren. Perhaps if this Uruk were slain, Lyn Gileath would be protected enough for me to come to your council. It is a heavy burden, but I would task you with this if you remain of stout heart. The Uruk is a mighty foe, and so you should not attempt to confront him on your own. If you must, then use the strength of this elfstone to find the strength to prevail from deep within yourself. Using the elfstone allows you to access the inspiration buff while solo or in a smaller fellowship. Nice, at least they're giving me a way to do these chapter quests solo. So that is nice, I will say. Okay, I got the elf stone. An elf stone that catches. Oh, I can't use it here, I guess. I need to go to the yellow. I am not seeing it. I am blind. Oh, down in here. Nan Rathren. Do I have to go? Oh, man. Excuse me. Do I have to go all the way around here? Is there a path? Through the back? I'm gonna check what's up here. I'm hoping that this is a path that will lead into the Nan. Looks like it. Looks like this will lead through. You guys are level 24, they're babies. Nan Rathren. Eastern Pass. Okay. Good. I'm glad I have discovered that now. What level are these guys? 24? These guys are still babies. Using that has no effect. We've got some barrow iron. Not really anything. This looks to be a good place to draw upon the Elfstone's power. bada bum. Let's get my Herald of War out here. Okay. Hey guys, I'm coming in. Higripper. Are these guys gonna be higher level up in here? No. Well, I might be able to just cheese my way through here. I'm betting he's going to be in that tent over there, and it looks like I can get there just by coming across here. This is what happens when you over level, I guess. Yeah, he's level 30. Where did my Herald run off to? Did my Herald fall down? He didn't follow me up here? I can't use my Herald here. Alright, easy enough. Return to Gildor. Okay. For some reason, I'm not sure why my Herald couldn't follow me up here. That was kind of weird. Okay, I could return to Gildor at Lingiliath, or I could walk out the Nanorethrin on the western edge and go down to Trestle Bridge like I need to do anyway. Which is what I think I am going to do. Okay. If I slide it down right here. Oh, nope. Oh, I just break my feet. I don't even get hurt. Okay. Broke my legs for 8 seconds. Or so. It's a redonkulous amount of mines. Get a nice close-up of that guy. No. Defiler of Trestle Bridge. I will decline. Alright, and there's Trestle Bridge over there. Okay. Who am I supposed to be? Nellie's house. Nellie Boskins.
What can I do for you?
Book 3, Chapter 6. Part 1 of 3, A Call to Men. A Council of Esteldine? Have you taken leave of your senses, man? Are you unaware of the dangers facing this town, the constant attacks we must endure? These men in the east, if they truly cared about the threats facing Trestle Bridge, they would help us here with these orcs. We would not have had to suffer as we have. We lost all those dear to us. No, I shall not come to this council, nor anything else, and I shall not be convinced otherwise. Now, if you have no other business, leave me to see to defense of this town. Wow. She straight up said, nope. I will not go to help with the council. Hello. Taking today off? Just not feeling good? Yep, I feel you there. Let's see. Let's go back to Halbarad. Or I guess I gotta go talk to Gildor.
What do you need?
At... Oh, I can't... I can't take a horse from here. I could go to Ammon Wraith, which is just right. Let's go to Ammon Wraith, and then see if I can take a horse from Ammon Wraith over to Meluinen. I completed a deed. Summon your heralds 60 times. Okay. Cool. Let's see what. Hopefully he's gonna have a. Oh, I thought. Wait. Oh no. I've still got a little ways to go. Here we go. Okay, let's hope that he has a connection over to Meluinen.
What can I do for you?
Oh, no he doesn't. I guess I'm going there on foot. Well, on my own horse. I have to come all the way across down here to turn in this quest, and then I can go up to Esteldine. Do a little cross country. Get aggroed by a wolf. That's okay. Stella's pretty good at outrunning them, which is nice. And I do want to head up over to the bridge though, because oops, whoa. Oh, I didn't even break my leg that time. I'm just running off cliffs, apparently. Here's the bridge. Might veer off south a little bit now. Across the fields. Oh. We got some orcs. Trampled Tusk. That guy's a named guy. Let's go ahead and fight him. Get my herald out. I like fighting the named ones. Sometimes they carry good loot, and sometimes they're just fun to fight. There it is. Lynn Gileath.
What can I do for you?
Alright, Book 3, Chapter 5, Part 2. Ah, you've done it. We hear the wails of the orcs from here. You have seen to the safety of Lynn Gileath, Cordrin, and for this you have my thanks. And your 354, 460. Gloves.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
With the Uruk Drukord slain, the threat of the orcs is lessened, and I am free to come to the Council of Esteldine. You should bring word to Halbered that we shall attend him, and that we will arrive soon. Your brave deeds may yet prove a strong foundation for our defenses. Alright. Now they all want me to go talk to Halbered. Chapters 4, 5, and 6. So now I'll come up to the stable master and take the horse to Esteldine.
Greetings to you.
I don't get to turn in 3 quests at once. So the dwarves and the elves are gonna come help us, but the humans said no. Clouds are pretty cool looking. A little bit of an overcast gray kind of day. Oops. There we go, we're gonna trying to The orcs and such are coming down from Angmar, which is just right up here to the north, super close. They're pouring down, and I'm trying to gather the people to mount a defense, but well, we'll see how that goes. The elves and dwarves will come to my aid, though. So I might... well, the rangers. So the rangers of the north are here, and they're trying to gather people. I'm just helping out with that, I guess. Okay. Albred. Alright, book 4.
What do you need?
These are good tidings. With the dwarves aiding us, our chances of turning the tide against Ingmar are that much greater. You have done very well this day, Corchin. Very well indeed. Chapter 5.
What do you need?
The message you bear is joyous. Twice over, the Uruk Drukord is dead, and the elves have agreed to come to the council. You have done very well, for the might of the elves shall improve our lot all the more. You have my thanks for this. And then... Chapter 6.
How can I be of service?
Good, you've returned. It does not surprise me that Nelly refused the call to the council, but that does not matter now. Word has arrived here that a large contingent of orcs is moving on Trestlebridge. The people there are a strong folk, but I fear they are no match for these orcs and the chieftain who leads them. We must go to their aid.
Could I speak with you a moment?
In the past, the orcs that have attacked have been of the Tarkrip tribe. The bloodlust of that tribe usually causes them to throw themselves heedlessly into the battle without forethought. The orcs that now move on Trestlebridge appear to be of the more powerful Ongber's tribe. These warriors are stronger and more skilled. The townsfolk will not be able to stop them. I would send a party of my men to aid them, but all my kin are dealing with matters in the east. You and I may reach them in time, however. You have done much already, but I would ask for your help in this battle. Gather what warriors you can, and return to me. But make haste. Trestlebridge does not have much time. Inspiration will assist you if you choose to undertake this challenge alone or with a smaller group. Yeah, I'm going to be doing it solo, so... let's go aid Trestlebridge.
We must not delay.
Are you prepared for the battle ahead? It will be a difficult one, and we will need all the warriors you can gather. Are you ready to leave now? Yes. We've got to defend Trestlebridge.
The little town of Trestlebridge is all that stands between the orcs of Angmar and Breland to the south. Halbarad, Ranger of the North, gathers heroes to help defend Trestlebridge from the approaching onslaught.
The orcs are nearly upon the town. Come with me quickly. We must convince Miss Boskins of the threat that is nearly upon her. Defend Trestlebridge and ensure that Halbarad and Nelly survive. Follow me. Oh, Miss Boskins, I am Halbarad. Orcs of kind unknown to you are about to attack your town. We have come to lend you what aid we can in the battle ahead. Ah, I see, so I refused your call to council and now this orc threat appears? I think we know how to deal with orcs without your help. Why don't you return to your home? We will deal with this orc threat. But Miss Boskins... Mayor Boskins, look, one of the guards approaches. Come, perhaps it is another attack. Come. We must follow, the battle is upon us. She's being stubborn. Mayor Boskins, orcs of a kind I've never seen before approach. Perhaps your words were true, Halbarad. Come now, to the bridge. To the bridge. Let's go. There's like 5 of us. We've got to hold off the orcs. These orcs, they are unlike any I've seen before. They are of the Ongbers tribe, and more will be upon us soon. Oh yeah, they're just running up and over that wall. Let's get behind these guys. There we go. How shall we stand against such creatures as these? Do not give up hope. We shall yet stand this day. These people are talking. Are there numbers without limit? I think the end is in sight, Miss Boskins. Oh, here we go. Ongber's Battle Lord. Just fighting everyone. Huzzah, Trestlebridge is saved. You defended Trestlebridge. Halbrad, all of Trestlebridge is indebted to you and your companions. I only hope you can forgive my behavior towards you. Think nothing of it. It was my honor to aid you in this fight. I must leave you now, though, and return to Esteldine. My companions, though, shall remain behind in the event more trouble arises. I must have one final word with them, then leave. Okay, we have done well this day. I am indebted to you as well for your aid, as I fear the battle would have turned against the Free Peoples had you not been here. I must leave now, and I hope it is not too much to ask of you to stay behind. I would ask that you ensure that Trestlebridge remains safe through the night, then return to me in Esteldine. This was a great victory, my friend, a great victory indeed. I'll take you back to Nellie's house.
Elrond has healed Frodo of his Morgul wound, and now the time has come to decide the fate of the One Ring. I can see no other path than that which leads to Mount Doom. Who then shall defend Eriador against the shadow of Angmar?
Okay, so Frodo's in Rivendell. That was the update on where the hobbits are at. They're getting ready to have the Council of Elrond.
What do you need?
Book 3, Chapter 6, Part 2 of 3. I must apologize to you, for fear my behavior towards you was nearly unforgivable. I see now that the constant orc attacks were nothing compared to what Angmar could bring to bear on this small town. You and the Ranger Halberd have risked your lives to save my people. I am in your debt.
Stay a moment.
The debt I owe you and the Rangers cannot be repaid easily, but I hope to make a start of it by answering Halberd's call to the Council. Whatever strength the men of Trestlebridge can lend to Halberd's endeavor shall be his to command. Please go tell Halberd that I will come to this Esteldine as soon as I settle matters here. I am still responsible first to my people, but I see now that the free peoples of the North Downs must stand together if we are to remain free. Thank you, my friend. Alright, go talk to Halbrand. So we defended Trestle Bridge. Once more. The town's still burnt. We gotta do a bunch of rebuilding. Looks like I need to go back to Esteldine, so I will take another horse path.
How may I help you?
I will repair and sell.
How can I be of service?
Alright, and then this horse will take me to Esteldine. Not too shabby. I got some more LotRO points. Quartered a Bree friend. Completed a deed. You must earn friends standing with the men of Bree. Nice. You must earn an ally with the men of Bree. Okay. Reputation has changed. So yeah, I am a friend with the Rangers of Esteldine. Friends with the Eglain. In fact, I'm almost an ally of the Eglain. Thorns Hall, I'm just neutral. Friend. I just hit friend with Bree. So not too bad. I'm just heading back to Esteldine. So I'm just traveling back. Ooh. This is definitely building up into something crazy. I wonder what's coming up next. Gonna be going back to Halberd. Oh yeah, they're gonna have the council. Council of Esteldine. But yeah, Gandalf got free from Orthanc. He made it to Rivendell. Frodo and the hobbits made it to Rivendell now. Everyone's in Rivendell. Or at least Boromir might not be in Rivendell yet, but the hobbits are there and they're waiting to have the Council of Elrond. So while they're over there doing that, I'm up here trying to defend against Angmar. Up here in the northern downs. Angmar's getting a little too greedy, building up their forces and trying to launch an attack on the west. Okay. Let's go talk to Halbrad again. Book 3, Chapter 6, The Free Peoples of Trestlebridge.
Greetings.
It is good to see you again. My thanks for your help in that battle. Without you and your companions, I would have surely fallen, as would Trestlebridge. It is also good to know that Nellie Boskins will come to the council. She is a fine and strong woman, and I will welcome her and her people's presence in the conflict ahead.
Might I take a moment of your time?
Book 3, Chapter 7, The Council Assembled. Here we go. While I await the arrival of those coming to the council, I must ask one final task of you. My chieftain, Aragorn, must be told of what has transpired here. I also would seek his counsel, as the position I find myself in is an unusual one. Aragorn has always been the one to lead, to organize, and inspire. If only the matter he was seeing to was not of much greater importance, then he would be here. That cannot be helped, though. By now, Aragorn should have arrived at the refuge of Rivendell in the Trollshaws. It is a hard ride that awaits you, but word must be taken to Aragorn of these matters. Look for him in one of the guest rooms of Elrond's house. Talk to Aragorn in Rivendell. Alright. Time to head to Rivendell. But I gotta go through the Trollshaws. Okay. So, I guess... How do I even get there? So I got to go to the Lowlands. To the Trollshaws. Alright, so back to Oscaruth and then east. A lot of traveling today. It is an adventure. We are traversing Middle-earth.
Friend. How may I be of help? What can I do for you?
Could go to Trestlebridge. Down to Breland. Yeah, so I think I'll hit up Trestlebridge and then I'll hit up So we'll go Trestlebridge, Bree to Osgirth, and then from there I'll have to manually ride east through the Trollshaws. But for now, we will enjoy the scenery as we travel. Oh, and I hit 34. Or was I 34 already? I can't remember. Either way. I'm 34 now. Did I get any new skills that I... Ninnis Varun. There's Fornost up over there, which Angmar has taken back. So Angmar has Fornost. They have tons of guys. They have a huge war camp down at Dol Denen. And they've got some good... Got some good positions. But gotta make my way to Rivendell now. Okay, so from here I should be able to hit up Bree. Yes, West Bree. Bree, yeah. The Northern Brieffields. This is some beautiful country I'm about to traverse. The tower up on there. Never did go up into the Wildwood. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What is this? Just trying to load in or something. Like I got stuck. At least I didn't DC. Alright, now that I'm at the West Gate. Ooh. Guy's level 57. Shire Loremaster's Champion of Eriador. He looks pretty decked out. Okay.
What do you need?
Now I should be able to go from here. Must be a subscriber. I can't even go to Southbury. Okay, I guess. I'll just go to South Bree because the stable there should. Oh, whoa. Level 85, that person's on a goat? Prancing pony. Bags are cleaned out, so I don't need to do any sort of crafting or anything on my way through. Oh. Bag. Bree is too crazy for me. Okay, this is the southern gate. I should be able to get a horse from here to the Forsaken Inn or something. I want to go to Ostgaruth.
Greetings.
Swift travel, they don't have. Okay, so the Forsaken Inn. I will get a horse to go to the Forsaken Inn. Back in the Chetwood. Oh, it's been a while since I've seen green fields. Spent way too long in the North Downs. Now entering the Midgewater Marshes. Okay. There's Weathertop. Now entering Unknown Loss, the Lonelands. We've made it.
How can I be of service?
Then from here to Ostgaruth. They're making me pay 13 silver. I'm at 20 gold, so I can take a lot of carriage rides if I want. And then once I get to Ostgaruth, I'll be on my own. Once I get to Rivendell, I probably will change that to my milestone. All right. I've made it to Ostgaruth. Now, I'll just hit up the road and see if I can get to Rivendell. There's a stable master at the last bridge. I gotta go all the way through the zone to get up to Rivendell. Some of these are still green. Okay, reconnected with the road. Last bridge and the Trollshaws. Yep. That is the direction I want to go. Some sort of broken down building up over there. Let's see. This might be a decent. Sure. Okay. I wonder what that is up there. The road to Rivendell, new deed. I got a new deed. Find the last bridge, Barachan's camp, the fort of Bruinen, and the gates of Imaladris. There's a stable master here.
Hail, friends, well met.
Oh, I could get a horse to the last homely house. Rivendell Valley. What are these guys?
Stay a moment.
Oh, 35. Find the elves' marker. Okay.
Stay a moment.
Level 35 Fellowship. A scout in the North Trollshaws. Talk to Throniel in the North Trollshaws. This quest arc is intended for a full fellowship. I'll probably decline that since I'm alone. Sad as that may be. Okay, this is really pretty. What kind of level ranges are the monsters here? What do we got? We've got a Whiskerback Digger. It's yellow, 35, so it's one level higher than me. Starts a quest, Vermin of the Mountain. Go ahead and we'll fight this. That's not what I wanted. Not quite what I wanted. Defeat cave claws in the South Trollshaws. It's a repeatable quest. There are cave claws infesting the South Trollshaws. While you're in the South Trollshaws, you should kill the number of cave claws infesting the ruins and lowlands. Defeat boars. Oh, that guy's like on an elk mount. Level 37 hunter. That looked cool. Goblin Raider. He's trying to run away. I guess I found my way back to the path after veering off of it, but I'm trying to... Oh, I got a comment on one of my videos. So I unlock the governing stones when you open your inventory. There's a grayed out option towards the end of the video. It's available. So I unlock the governing stones. As far as I know, you have to what? As far as I know, you have to keep doing the quest chain. To unlock. the governing stones and the those and the line may have been unlocked because I had previously completed the whole seasonal quest line. Seasonal quest line. I'd complete quest line because I had previously completed the whole seasonal quest line to unlock them. If that's right or not. As far as I know, you have to keep doing the seasonal quest line to unlock those and the other ones. Mine may have been unlocked because I had previously done the whole seasonal quest line, maybe? Not sure of that's account wide or not. Edit. Not sure if. Not sure. Not sure if that's account wide or not. Hopefully that answers this question, and hopefully I didn't completely misunderstand what he was asking. Takes me forever to type on my phone. I should have just opened up a new tab and typed it on the keyboard. A dwarf iron deposit. Yes. Okay. I might actually be in an area where I want to start mining again. Found some dwarf iron deposit here, which is the next tier of material that I need for upgrades. Diablo 4 is doing their campfire chat for their next season here in about an hour. Yeah. Defeated cave claws in the south, troll shaws. That's complete, and a deed has been bestowed. Complete quests. I killed a bunch of cave claws. I still need these boars, though. Stunned. These boars can stun me. 6 out of 8. Got a quest item. Bring the perfect boar tusk to an elf weaponsmith in Rivendell. Nice. It's nice when I randomly just get some awesome item that is a quest item to turn in. These guys start a quest, a plague of flies. Defeat sickle flies in the south troll shaws. Okay, so I need a bunch of those as well. Do I want to go down? Not necessarily right now. I do, however. Oh, I can't walk up that? There we go. They're pretty stingy on that terrain. It's a scavenger. I don't need those anymore. I need the boars. The elves' marker should be around here. Maybe it's on that stone that that lady was at. Markings upon this stone point south from the road, indicating the direction of Barachan's camp. Oh, except there's dwarf iron deposits up over here. Oh. Can't be it. Can't be skipping these. Oh, I better make sure I lock those down. Lock the chunk of pearl brimstone and dwarf iron. Go ahead and move those up. This can just be deleted. Okay, how am I gonna get up over there? Maybe right here. Dwarf iron. This is the good stuff. I do not, I guess I can check over here for some boars. In fact, I just need 2 more. there gonna be... There's just a scavenger up in here, nothing really. Keep going north. I don't want to get too far out of this southern area yet. I mean, I gotta go hit up the camp, but I've got to... find some more boars. After being in the North Downs for so long, this area is such nice. Change. I love being in the forest. What is this? A troll? Level 35. Cur Olog Basher? I actually found a troll. Make sure I have all my buffs running. This guy is tough. He is an elite, though. New deed, the Troll Slayer. Defeat trolls in the Troll Shaws. 1 out of 80. Wow. Gotta be on the lookout for boars and these morefly hatchers. I need 2 more of these. Retry quest, a plague of flies in 15 hours. Okay, so yeah, it's a repeatable quest I can do every day if I want. Dwarf iron deposit. Okay, boars. Whiskerback Digger. Dwarf Iron Deposits. Go ahead. And platinum. This guy got mad that I took his platinum. There's a bar. I just need one of those left. Looks like the only way to get up there is from this side.
Megovanen.
Stable Master. Scouting the wild.
Megovanen. Might you spare a moment?
Search
of
for
your time?
evidence of the dwarves' location. Maybe that if you search among the herd to the west at a place in the wood that we call Lavinum, you may find some clues to the whereabouts of the dwarves. It may even be that they paused to hunt for meat. Okay. Search for the dwarves. That's fine with me. I gotta kill some boars. Gotta kill some boars and search for dwarves. I'll go ahead and no, Lagranda. Ligandra. What are you? You're a hunter? Can I buff you? Are you a nearby ally? I don't know if that even affects you. You might have to be in my fellowship. Ligandra killed a boar. Circle of stones. Okay, we're getting close to Levenim. There's a boar. There we go. A boar corpse? Search for the evidence of the dwarf company upon the boars of Levenim. Well, corpse is badly mauled, but you did find a piece of fabric stuck on its tusk. So I gotta search for more. Oh, there's a ton of boars over here. This is like Boar Central. And no further evidence of the dwarves' location. Okay, so I gotta kill these until I find some sort of evidence. Rain coming in an hour. It's supposed to rain today? I guess it looks kind of gloomy out there. Well, I might be getting unlucky with finding where the dwarves are, but there's dwarf iron deposits here, so I'm happy about that. Here we go. Yes. There's even more of it. But I'm gonna have to drop off. Oof. It's worth it. Bring the scrap of cloth you found to Barachan. Okay. So... that goes back into like a den, a boar den, maybe. It is 11:30. Did Diablo start their video? Doesn't look like it. Try to keep check that in like another 15 minutes maybe and then switch over, I don't know. Unless they're only doing it on Twitch. But they had a link to their YouTube from here, so I don't know. I go to Twitch. They're offline. Okay. But it's getting close, so gotta keep an eye out for that. This is leading me not quite the direction I wanted to go at the moment, but well, I just have to grab all this. Already at 26, 28. Man, if I'm getting that much dwarf iron, maybe I'll just fly right through Artisan. Just get like 200 and then go to town at the forge.
What do you need? Might you spare a moment of your time?
Talk to Alflink. Ask the doors were surprised before they had come very far into the troll shows. Return to the last bridge and speak with Alflink. Perhaps she has seen some sign of their passing. This is no place for a dwarf. The elves do not guard the road well enough. The wild encroaches on all sides. So there's a little camp. Tasks. There's even a task board there. At that little tiny camp, which is interesting. Oh, there's my notification. Developer update. Starting soon. They got a 30-minute timer started. So if I just hop on 27 minutes.
Oh, stay on. Yeah, stay on this one. Check, check, check. Audio check. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah,
They're
sounds
doing
good.
audio checks. Okay.
Took a minute to dial it in.
Alright. So they're getting their stream set up. And when it's time I'll just plop it over here like that.
Depending on which one it is. They're the main. This is the main. Stream audio is coming in.
Oh. Twitch. Do I watch it on Twitch or do I watch it on I think I'll just do YouTube. Wait, did that... I should be able to just pull it over, right? Yes? Okay. Yeah. so I've got about 30 minutes. Well, 27 minutes. I got like 27 minutes. And then I'll pop open the Diablo 4 campfire chat. Search the area around Last Bridge. Oh yeah, that was the fellowship quest. Did they get swept away under the bridge? I don't think. Search the area immediately around the last bridge closely for some sign of the missing dwarves. Nothing really on this side. Guess I didn't look over here. Okay. Maybe I'll cross the river. Oh, no, right here. Shattered crate. Hey, it's Tigrok. The crate has been smashed open and its contents removed. Whatever it once contained has been stolen by parties unknown. You found nothing within the crate. Oof.
What do you need?
Talk to Heather, Iron Fist. Okay, so back to the dwarf. Well, there was a smashed crate. Dwarf iron deposit around these rocks. This is, I gotta get as much of this as I can get. Increased reputation with the elves of Rivendell. You found the crate my dwarves were bringing with them. I had hoped that you might return with the stones, but it sounds from your tale that someone else has already made off with them. This is inexcusable. We must find them, Cordrin, or Lord Gloin will be made a laughingstock.
Hear me out, traveler!
Clearly misfortune befell my companions. Search Ostragon for the stolen stones. Stolen stones. Hey, reputation with Thorn's Hall being increased. to the north. Actually, this guy is a vendor. Should.
Is there aught which you need?
And he repairs. Defeat cave claws in the South Trollshaws. Oh, this one is ready to do again? Feeding Frenzy? You should call the number of cave claws. Gotta make my way up north. It is annoying when they dig underground. How do I get over there? A blightworm? Gross dragon kind. Little nasty going on up in there. I think that's an elite. I think I want to turn around. Alright, feeding frenzy complete. 322, 337. Sells for more. Yes, there is this. The ruins of the Trollshah's Ostdragon. Oh, I see a dwarf. Toki Whitebeard. Are you here to help? Be careful. A mighty cave claw has slain the rest of my... This monstrous cave claw attacked us after the trolls stole the stones we were bearing. Oh no, here comes the lot of them. I pulled in extra. Okay, well... Oh, they all got blue stuff on them? This is... lame. Actually, it'll be fine. Was it quite a few of them? monstrous whiskerback. Big one he was talking about. Many thanks, good man. I did not think I could have held out any longer. You see that for Iron Fist has taken refuge with an elf to the south of here? I will go to him then. When I have rested a moment, please track down the trolls who stole the stones that led us here, but I believe their camp is further east along the road. The true thieves search for the soul stones among the stone trolls. Oh, way over there. Way over there. I still need to be up here? No, I don't think so. I think I can slide it down here. I already have to veer off. Shoot. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go back to Dwarf Camp. This should have like 9 minutes left, 8 minutes. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to go like kill all the trolls and do the thing. I might just I'll just go back to the little campfire here. Hidden camp. Or I can just wander around gathering dwarf iron for the next like 5 minutes or so. Dark Claw. Looks like there's a quest for these guys. Dispersing the cloud. Defeat bats in South Trollshaws. Provisioning the elves. A young Glenbuck. These guys are big. Juicy. Like venison from the elk of the southern troll shrubs. There we go. Right, a few quests done, and I'm gonna just go back up to the camp and log out. Where I get this? No. Dwarf iron. Oh, platinum ore is something I need to lock so I don't sell it. I wonder if I sold my other platinum. I probably did because I forgot to lock it. Oh, my currency's kept. Tokens of heroism. And it can be turned into complete tasks for the Path of Valor reputation. Where do I turn it in at? I don't know. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and log out. I'm going to check the buyback tab.
How may I be of service to you?
Chunks of platinum. Yes, buyback. I'm glad it was there. Okay. 50 dwarf iron and 7 platinum. My dad wanted me to stream it to the TV. I think I'll do that from my phone. Chris crit,
You're going to
yes.
be running through the Helltide, seeing the cultists just swarms and adding to that sense of manic that they're adding is the presence of the Doomsayer. The other archetype that we're adding is the presence of the Doomsayers, who were unfortunate enough to be caught out in the tide and basically just lost their minds to all of the mania going on around them.
So this is the Diablo 4
And lastly,
developer
rounding out the
update,
new activities
Season
are
4
just the
Loot
inclusion of
Reborn.
the Iron Wolves. They're finally joining the fight. They could no longer stand in the sidelines.
I don't know how loud it is
seeing
for you
the
guys.
Helltides and Hell's forces intensify their assault on Sanctuary. As
But
Season
I'm gonna get
4
up and
players
go and make
engage
sure this
and
is
progress
working
through
on the
Call of
TV
Wolves
for
seasonal
my dad,
activities,
so
they'll
I'll
earn
be right back.
honor with the Iron Wolves, unlocking access to a vast assortment of rewards to accompany and empower your Season 4 journeys. In the updated Helltide, for players who are able to stay alive long enough, they'll be paid a visit by the Hellborn. former heroes of Sanctuary who have aligned with the forces of Hell to attack the allies they once aligned with. Players who are able to take down the Hellborn will be acquiring the materials they need to engage with the new premier Helltide activity, the Accursed Rituals. Located in the Helltide, these Accursed Rituals are pretty much just botched rituals from the cultists that players will be kickstarting for themselves, drawing the intention of all the nearby
It seems to be
Helltide
set up pretty
monsters in this
well.
kind of all-out battle. One of my favorite themes for these ambushes is the Hellworm. It's literally a giant hell slug beast that emerges from the ground and it spews out a whole bunch of mobs at you. If you're able to survive that, you'll be paid a visit from the Blood Maiden, our brand new Helltide mini-boss and one of the ultimate challenges in the
Helltide mini-bosses. So they're changing a lot of stuff with Helltide.
So I think I'm actually most excited about this season because of what you're able to do with your old characters, how they can integrate with this new item game and take them to new levels of power with this system.
I think that the best part of this update is that you're going to be really empowered to build the character that you want to play. You're going to be able to pick custom affixes and enhance your character
Pick custom
in a lot of new and
affixes.
interesting ways.
Diablo 4 Loot Reborn begins May 14th. Okay, that sounds good. I want to be able to build my character.
All right.
They got Adam Jackson, Joe Pepora.
And everyone's like, what are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, okay.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another Diablo 4 developer update live
Somebody
stream.
I don't
My name
know,
is Adam Fletcher. I am
and Adam
the
Fletcher.
director here for Diablo. I'm joined by this wonderful panel, plus an additional head, which we will call out. But
We only have 4 seats. So
only have 4
we have to
seats.
swap
So
people around as we go.
we have to do the same thing we did during the PTR stream, which was like we swapped out like Joe Shelley, and we put in Adam Jackson.
That's true, we did do
and
that.
So we're gonna play more magic tricks today. But do you guys want to do a quick intro to yourself to the wonderful Diablo community?
Sure, I'm Joe Pepora. I'm the Associate Game Director for Diablo 4.
And I'm Adam Jackson, the lead live class designer for Diablo
Okay,
4.
Adam Z. Jackson.
Hello, I'm Colin Finer. I'm the lead live game designer.
Awesome.
Oh,
And then
Colin
we're
Finer.
actually going to be joined
Who
by
are you?
Derek.
That's somebody new.
Well, I already introduced myself.
Oh,
You just
sorry.
missed it because
I'm already screwing this up.
but we actually have Derek who will be joining us as well. Derek, you just saw in the video prior talking about season 4. He'll be swapping in to talk a little bit more about Helltides later. In this.
Helltides.
But,
So
big
they're
stream
changing
here. We have season
Helltides,
4 coming
which
up.
is good. If
As
they
you
make
guys
it
saw
more like
earlier
the
this
Blood
week,
Tide
it was
from season
Reborn
2,
for season
then
4.
it's a win.
And a lot of players actually got to experience it a couple weeks ago with PTR. PTR. This was our first Diablo 4 PTR. It was
Loot
a,
Reborn is what they're calling it,
massive
I
undertaking
guess.
for the team here, but it was really, really great to have players jump in early, check out season 4.
I did
and all
not do the
changes and
PTR,
actually
so
provide feedback. And so we have a lot
didn't
to
check
cover
that out.
today based off of feedback that we received from players from PTR itself. So, but Joe, I know you wanted to jump into.
But from what I
talking a
have
little
seen
bit more
before,
about, season 4, how
it does
PTR
make me want to
went,
come back and try the
before
game
we
at
jump
least
into
for
it.
season 4.
Yeah, happy to. So, okay, so last time we were on stream, we were actually talking about a lot of the changes that players are going to get a chance to check out in the PTR. So we think that went really, really well. It was even just having the week of time.
I think them
for players,
hosting a
like, to jump
PTR
in and just
is a
crush
good
through all the
thing.
Content, check out all of the new features, and it gets a lot of feedback. Find a lot of bugs on the way as well. Was again super valuable. It's been really, really
Yeah,
good for the
because
team
then
to take a lot of
they
these
find all those
feedback,
bugs and stuff, and then they can
like,
fix them before it even comes out.
variety of features and really make sure that we've got the best version of the season 4 experience ready when we get into the launch day. So in terms of like our big takeaways, first of all, really, really valuable across the board. Season 4, Season Loot Reborn was,
Makes
as
sense.
I mentioned during the PTR stream originally, was really our
Getting
opportunity
people
go
to
back
play it
a
and
lot of
provide
that we've
feedback
been looking at since
so
the
that they can
launch of the
change
game from
stuff that's
2023.
broken
So
is always valuable.
Oh, no, I do love the key art for this.
That is
The
awesome
art is
artwork,
awesome.
as always. Blizzard is always
So
good about artwork, I think.
So looking back at the thanks for disrupting my flow.
I'm sorry. David Buzz art is amazing.
So yeah, looking back at the launch of the product in 2023,
That's like
we
the
got
one
to get a lot of
thing-
really good feedback. You remember back in season 2, Season of Blood, we made a big change to like vulnerable damage and like the multiplicative damage that comes along with it. We made a change to the way the elemental resist worked.
Yep.
And there were a lot of things we had to do to make those changes like really shine through. There's like a lot of Paragon nodes that had to get updated. There were a lot of like legendary aspects that had to get changed. There's There's a lot of itemization stuff in the background that we had to do to make those systems work better and lift up other things around them, like overpower, for example, to make that feel like it was in a better spot. So now that we're looking at,
But then they nerfed it again because it was in too powerful.
One big release for Season of Blood, we knew that there was a lot more that we wanted to do. Again, we've been thinking about, but there's a lot of work we need to do, like make sure that all of these things really all fit together cohesively. So, I mean, as people got a chance to see on the PTR, like the introduction of things like the tempering feature, which we're going to talk a little bit more in a minute. We get to like introduce these new like affixes into items, and affixes you can't get on items anymore. The reduction affix count on items overall, so it's a lot easier to go and sort through 25 pairs of gloves in your inventory at any given time. You don't really have those same situations.
So they reduced
the number of items that drop in the game experience overall, but made sure that the
reduced the number of items drop and the affixes that are on the items.
You can kind of like build into an upgrade. We introduced the masterworking feature, right? And Colin helped head a lot of these things up, right, during working with the teams. So they introduced the masterworking feature where players can continually upgrade items to increase the value of the affixes, and then it ranks 4 and 8 and 12. You get to like kind of crit on one of these and make them even better. There's a lot of things that were introduced. We added the new content type in the form of the Pit of the Artificer. It's like this new extremely deep and deadly dungeon dive players get to go into once they get into the like towards the end game when you're getting to like 85, 90 your character level. You're starting to kind of dip into that space, and that's where you go to get your masterworking materials, which feels really, really good. And we learned a lot of really great lessons from like Greater Rifts in Diablo 3, because we think there was some really cool content there. So there's some really, really fun things there. And then
also the Codex of Power updates. You no longer have to save all your legendaries all the time.
Codex of Power updates, which I was like, to be fair, I've been so excited about the Codex of Power updates. I've been teasing it for like 6 live streams. I feel like it's not like before BlizzCon. I feel like I teased it at the end of a live stream. So it's what it is. But again,
Power.
Super Codex of Power changes. That is very transformational. Like now, when Legendary drops on the ground for you, you just salvage it. You get that aspect, put it in your Codex, add the role that you got, and you just get to use it in perpetuity. And we actually have some fun ways. We'll talk about later how we're playing with that a little bit as we go. So
that's
all
nice.
Of this stuff and more,
so you don't have to hold the aspects in your inventory anymore.
Derek can talk about
That'll save a lot of space.
As he helped lead the team, did a lot of the work for that. And we got to introduce the season theme in the form of like Loot Reborn, and then the reintroduction of the Iron Wolves mercenaries the players be working with during the course of the release. I know that we showed a little bit off earlier.
Do you actually get a mercenary companion like in previous games, or is it just like the quest chain?
It's an opportunity for us to work with like not just the season team, but also the live team, and like lots of support from the systems groups. And there's a lot of things being done for the expansion that's coming out eventually as well, like Vessel of Hatred. So being able to like really organize teams and make sure that we're in a really, really good spot to like provide this really big update for the game has been very, very exciting. And the feedback, going back to the feedback from PTR was, again, really, really valuable. It was great to get players in there and to get those things taken care of. And we're going to talk about some of those things today. I know that some of this information has been like, we talked to like a few like press outlets, we talked to a few different people, and like some information is getting out there. But I want to make sure we can provide a little bit more detail, because I know this is the audience that wants to know like the real specifics. We're going to get into it, right? And we'll also have our Q&A as you like.
I do want to get into specifics.
Like answer some more questions the community might have as we kind of go through the whole thing. So yeah, I mean that was at a high level. That's what we were feeling about the PTR. Feeling pretty good about it. I'm happy to like maybe jump into itemization, or how do we want to go?
Yeah, I think the first thing we probably want to talk about is like the itemization changes that are in season 4 that people experience, which includes like the tempering, the masterworking stuff that changed in season 4. And of course, all the feedback that we got from both tempering, masterworking, and what we are planning on doing based off of that PTR feedback for the launch of season 4.
Yeah, we have quite a few updates.
Yeah,
so.
Lots.
Okay, so they tested the features and they've got updates.
With, like, high-level itemization. Like, let's go back to like some of the goals that we had when we started like down on this. Started some of the work for season 4. Now, we want to make sure that, first, players were having an easier time comparing items in their inventory. It's actually one of the first things we started thinking about when we began discussing what we thought needed to change about itemization, because the experience in Season 3 and Season 2 and other seasons has really been, like, the player, you'll get into, like, you're running your high-tier nightmare dungeons, you're getting lots of drops, you're sorting through all of this stuff. Like, you'll have, like, items that are, like, this is like a 904 eye power sword, and this is a 909
you just keep the legendaries that have the same powers because you're trying to
have a wide variety of affixes on them. We really wanted to, again, just to quickly hit this, we wanted to make sure that we had a lower number of affixes overall that could roll on different item slots. But those affixes were more like generically useful and stuff you could really build around, as opposed to having lots of really conditional affixes going back to like the the damage on Tuesdays joke. Like that's like,
the shirt that
the shirt that
Mr.
we
Mr. Adam
literally
Jackson is
Damage on
wearing it now.
Tuesdays.
So huge,
Yeah, they-
huge proponent. It's always funny. So it's obviously because it's a joke, right? Oh, jokes are always funny. But the truth is, like, we want to make sure that where we want to have conditional affixes in the game, we want to find players would be able to opt into them in a very specific way.
Yeah, there is a place for conditional affixes, but everything being a conditional
valuable for you overall. And also, as a result of this, make it easier to compare
wasn't very
those
good.
items. So one of the changes that we made is we actually reduced the number of affixes that can naturally roll on item slots. So like now, like a rare item can roll like 2 affixes, a legendary item can roll 3 affixes, but then later on, there's other systems you get to introduce. We'll talk about in a bit. It lets you introduce more of those.
Yeah.
And we did that, so it's just easier to go through things.
We also made all items post level 100 925, so you're no longer comparing like the designer number that's like 904 to 925. You're just focusing on what's cool about the item, which is the affixes.
Yeah, which is super important because there's a lot of situations where like if you're level 100,
Yeah,
like,
if you're
Blood
playing
Harvest might be
in
a lot of
World
fun,
Tier
Blood
4,
Harvest is still dropping like eye power 900 items for you, and at that point, why would you want to keep even Blood Harvest, which players really love? Like, why would you want to keep engaging with it if you can't get really good end game items from it? So now when you're like
exactly. Like if you're
playing in Helltide,
if you're in the higher levels and you're still getting low item power gear,
level 100 monsters or higher,
it's just a lot of
they're always getting
filler.
eye power 925.
Is what it was.
They might not have all exactly the stats or exactly the roles that you want, but you're always getting stuff you could actually potentially use.
Yeah, a lot of the things feel a lot better too, like gambling, right? Like now gambling is actually a really great source for targeting item slot because all of those are 925 at level 100.
That's right. So like the obols that you've been sitting on, where you go and you just
at level 100. So
once they didn't have as much generic value. Now they're a lot better because you really can just like say I am
when you're the
looking
max
for
level.
a helmet. I am looking for a ring, and you can just go roll 10 eye power 925 rings in a row. And you have stuff to play with then. At that point.
But what's the point of playing after you hit 100?
Yeah, those are some of the high level changes we wanted to make with items with regards to like making it easier to compare these things. Codex hits a lot of the inventory concerns that we'd have. We made changes to gems in previous seasons, so we didn't have as many of them clogging up your inventory as well. So we thought that was really good stuff. But then we knew that we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just about we weren't going to add another tier of eye powered items. That wasn't the way to make itemization more interesting for players and rewards more interesting. One of the core things that we really want to focus around was the idea that items have a journey. The best items have a journey, right? So when you get a really good item, it's about what the potential of that item is. What you can do with this item to make it really superior, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's sort of to jump into tempering. One of the first features we had in terms of taking your item on a journey was this idea that we wanted hundreds of different affixes, and each one spoke differently to a build. We wanted you to be able to play sort of whatever class fantasy or build fantasy you had in mind and manifest that through customization of your items. So we actually have some video, I think, of what the tempering feature looks like, and I can talk through some
Okay, so
of
what
the
is
updates
this
we've made
tempering?
from the PTR. So here you have, we're adding an offensive affix to the item. It's going to land on increased corpse explosion damage. It's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, especially if you really like corpse explosion. We've added a skip button so you can skip through the flow.
An affix has been
blast
added.
through this. We also have
so you can add
results screen now that
affixes.
shows you exactly what affix it landed on and what the roll range was. And then we have some more exciting affixes that you're going to see here. For example, chance to cast Bone Spear projectiles twice, which I know, Adam, is your favorite. Cause
So it'll randomly choose out of
Don't
those.
say it like that. Everyone loves
so
projectiles.
great.
It is cool though to see being able to
Derek is here. So yeah, we did our swap. But Joe's still going to be here off screen. We just want to make sure that Derek appears here. Derek is our lead seasons designer. So he'll be talking a little bit more about Helltides later. Sorry to interject. Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Now off screen. So yeah, I think one of the really cool things about the tempering system in general is that the manuals that we're introducing initially are just the beginning of what we can do with tempering. It's opportunities to make really weird and interesting new affixes to kind of throw at the player that we can introduce in seasons.
So tempering allows you to add affixes to your gear,
some really neat stuff with.
and it seems like you can roll.
Awesome.
between a range
so
of
a
them.
bunch of improvements to tempering overall.
And
That
a
seems
lot
good.
of these, again, these improvements in tempering from the skip animations to the previews and stuff like that that players will see were based off of feedback that we actually got from PTR. And so, again, huge shout out to
I guess I'm
P
behind
for
because I didn't
providing all that feedback for us so that we
participate
can actually
in
get that
PTR.
before the launch of Season 4. So, but with tempering, we also have Masterworking, which is another new feature within Season 4 and permanently within Diablo 4 itself. So, talk us through a little
Good,
bit about
evergreen
what
permanent
Masterworking is, and of
features.
course, the changes as well that we're going to be seeing based off of PTR feedback.
Sure, yeah. So, the next step in your item's journey is to really take it to new heights. You've customized it, you found some base affixes you're really into, and we wanted to give you a way to essentially take some of these affixes to new levels. So you think about helms and CDR or cooldown reduction, or for example, that chance to replicate, your bone spear. We want you to be able to really juice those stats. So I think we have a video here of what that looks like.
You can target which stat you want
overall,
to juice.
what we've really done is taken a look at the feedback. We got a bunch of feedback that it was tedious to upgrade these over and over. So we've removed the animation from ranks 1 through 3. We've kept the critical, upgrade. We have the animation still there, but you can skip it. Again, sort of in the spirit of blasting across everything that we do. So you can do that very quickly.
Oh, it's just randomly choosing which one to upgrade. You don't get to select which one.
That we got was that part of the
all
masterworking
affixes
process
increase.
allows you to reset this. And why do you want to reset this? It's because you want to hit that specific affix you're looking for. You want to juice a specific affix, and sometimes you might miss, right? Which means you want to reset that item. So part of the resetting sort of requires you to get lower tier materials. You're going to get these from the pro. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Oh, okay. So it does randomly choose, but you can reset it
that was really tedious
to try again and try to get the affix that you want to boost
the town
up.
is lava. We want to address that. So we've added multiple scales of material conversion to those caches. This is a short-term solution. We have something in the future.
It's too bad
plan
I
that's
can't
not
just choose
done
which
yet.
one I want.
So while it's not the perfect solution, it does get you there a little bit quicker. There's multiple conversion rates of materials, so you can turn one legendary material into a much higher count of materials based on the tiers that we have in that crafting system. So again, not the perfect solution. We have something coming in a future update.
Cool.
Awesome. So yeah, a lot of changes coming for Masterworking based off of feedback. Masterworking, of course, being a brand new, kind of that end tail of that item journey that you'll have even after tempering and stuff like that. So yeah.
I'll say another thing that was brought up as feedback was about veiled crystals, right? Didn't we reduce the amount that you need for crafting?
We did, and I can totally talk about some of the stuff we've done just overall on itemization. Veiled crystals is one of those things. So I'll talk about, first I want to touch on rare and magic items. That was something we made a change from Season 3 and Season 4. Legendary items are just generally straight up better than rare items now. And part of our goal there is really to ensure that players aren't sifting through sand, looking through thousands of items. We want to just call it out, like legendary items are legendary. At the same time, we acknowledge that there is some coolness to knowing that certain magic and rare items could have value to you, right? We don't have anything for Season 4 yet, but the design team is definitely talking about ways that we can bring this rarity back in a way that doesn't diminish our overall goal of trying to reduce that sort of sifting through sand feeling, right? So in the meantime,
you don't have to sift through 1,000 rares looking for something.
But we heard a ton of feedback to
upgrade
on the veiled crystals. It's just like such a bottleneck, and it's like, God damn it, I have to pick a bunch of like yellow items up to do any of the cool crafting features. What the hell, Blizzard?
That's an actual player quote too.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've made it so that legendaries break down into equal amounts of veiled crystals, so you can just not pick up yellow items. It's just a bonus now. We've also made sacred and ancestral items break down into 2 and 3 amounts of salvage. So sacred items will break down into double, ancestral will break down into triple. So we're effectively tripling the output of a lot of the salvage here.
Okay.
And I know.
So you get a lot more of the materials.
Probably the most vocal feedback that we got from players. About,
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, like, I need more veiled crystals. So I know that there's changes coming for that in Season 4 based off that PTR feedback. Another, probably maybe the second, maybe also the first topmost, our largest feedback piece that we got is around greater affixes and the visibility related to those. So there are changes going into that for season 4. So Colin, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we wanted, the dopamine. That was a big goal also of part of itemization, is just like seeing an item hit the ground and just being like, oh, I like that jackpot moment, right?
So that's really important.
So we actually have some video here to show of what that actually looks like on the ground. So you can see, here's the weirdly long named item with the greater affix. Yeah, right.
Unyielding commander sacrificial sickle.
I know, right? So we have
it's got a little icon next to it.
It'll go up to 3 or 4 if it's a unique item.
Oh, that's a greater affix.
So it shows up on the ground when it lands. And then if we can go to the next video, we actually have an indicator now when it is in the inventory.
Yeah, so you can see it.
Oh, see, okay, that's nice.
I asked this as a joke, and it looks so good. I'm so happy.
I'm disappointed. I can't see like the pixels. It's not zoomed in. So that's been enormously helpful, and really, when you kill like Duriel or one of these tormented bosses, and they drop a ton of loot on the ground, to see some of these have stars on them, it just is a feel great moment.
Yeah, kind of goes with the whole like. Not sifting through the sands, you clearly see that icon. You know that has value.
You want to know what's valuable.
Exactly, especially and again,
because you want to check.
The icon itself, like
right, because you want to check what
those are my greater
affixes it has and which ones rolled into greater affixes.
Of the Roman numeral, we
right. You don't like the designer solution.
We will. It's funny.
Right.
I think internally we knew like, oh, that's probably going to get changed. We had a few jokes about that, but.
Sure.
I know
one thing I want to touch on real quick before I move on the itemization, if that's okay, is we actually, to touch on the veiled crystals, I think players are going to want to know this, is we reduced the imprinting cost of aspects quite a bit. So that's really going to help the veiled crystals as well. I think it went from like 75 veiled crystals to imprint on an ancestral armor to 16. So it's a pretty huge swing. You're just getting way more of your aspects on gear. It's a lot more flexible.
We really want people to feel like, and this is kind of the Codex of Power updates in general, which I'm really pumped about, is we want you to feel like you're able to re-imprint those aspects, and that it's something that you're not having a huge cost or huge barriers to doing, right? Because as you upgrade your gear, that should be part of your process, is like putting on their favorite affixes.
Yeah, so a lot of changes coming with tempering, masterworking, itemization, and I know, did we have any other changes that you wanted to cover before we move on to the next section? I know Colin's got this novel in front of him, and he's like, what am I going to do?
He was a keeper of a lot of our changes. Oh, one I would think is worth mentioning, Colin, you may want to talk about, is the masterworking. I remember we got a lot of feedback about the fail chance.
Oh, that's a great
that's
point.
true. The fail chance we took. Funny enough, that was like probably the biggest thing changed.
Big one.
That was the first bullet, and I somehow missed it. So we definitely felt like there's a ton of feedback that the double random chance was just a little bit too much, and we agreed, so we just took it out. It's just fun now. Just upgrade the item. We adjusted the material costs a bit, but the fail chance is no longer there.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Colin, for going through those changes. We'll actually be back to Colin later because he still has more to talk about from his novel papers that he has
Joe, you want to swap
prepared.
His novel, he's got like 2 papers.
Class balance changes that are coming after PTR. Of course, with Season 4, we have a lot of class balance changes that are on top of all these itemization changes. And we got a lot of great feedback from players. So, Mr. Adam Jackson.
Very much did.
All right, what's changing?
So basically...
The classic Adam Jackson slide.
Enemies are kind of easy, then they one-shot you.
Of things that I'm going to be talking about today. Again, thanks to everybody for playing on the PTR. We did get a ton of feedback. I'm not going to go over the specifics of everything that changed, but I'm going to go over kind of the categories of things, just because there's a whole lot of changes. One of the first big ones was endgame survivability issues. So this is kind of talking about those people that went really far into the pit, and this is kind of something that's been happening on live as well that we wanted to address. And there's this phenomenon when you get really deep into the game and you're fighting high-level monsters where, you'll hit a point where the monsters are kind of easy and you're able to blow through with your really powerful builds, and then you kind of get to a point where they start one-shotting you. And it can be kind of mysterious and hard to understand, like, what's going on, why did this happen? We've also had some issues balancing that kind of top-end survivability when you get to those hard monsters in the game. One of the reasons for this is that variability in player defensiveness has been really high traditionally. This is why when you look at the new items in the game in Season 4, you don't see a damage reduction very much at all. It's a very premium stat now that's really hard to get, and it's to help solve this problem of when someone is stacking all damage reduction versus someone who has none of it, their difference in effective health and survivability is really, really high. And so it makes it hard to balance the game. Another part that we wanted to hit was really armor. That armor is kind of a really confusing stat. It's not really well understood how it works. I'm going to be going over in a little bit how it works and what we're changing to kind of address both of these issues a little bit. Next is that some stats can get really high. We added all these crazy awesome stats, and you can juice them with masterworking and crit them and all these things. And it allowed for some really crazy things on the PTR, which people love to post constantly at me. And to be clear, we like crazy things.
But
it's
have to
awesome
take
to get
computer
powerful and have that
performance into
fantasy.
account.
We do have to take into account things like combat clarity and computer performance to make sure that the game can still run very well for everybody. So we made some changes there to address that.
You mean it's not fun to just not see the screen or the ground?
I think it is for a while. It is hilarious, I think.
Yeah, it's funny for a bit, but when you can only see like patches of ground occasionally.
And when one player can do that, let alone when you get 4 of them in a group, it gets scary. And last but not least, balance changes and bug fixes. I'll be going over some of them, but there's way more than what I'm covering right now today. But just know, we took a lot of feedback on balance, a lot of feedback on bugs. There were a lot of them that were reported, and we acted on a lot of them, and I'll give an example of some that we did. All right, so let's go into armor. So, brief history lesson or description of how armor works today. This is like when you log in, how armor is functioning. It's your stat for physical damage mitigation. So you know how you have your elemental resistance that caps
physical damage mitigation, cap of 85%.
Armor reduces your physical resistance up to a cap of 85%. It can't go higher than that. That's the number. But what's confusing is the amount of armor that you need to get to that 85% cap is actually based on the level of the monster that you're fighting. And I gave some examples here. These are the actual numbers in the game. So if you have a level 50 monster that's hitting you, whacking you,
it's hidden.
then you need 5,265 armor, and then you'll be at that 85% cap. But then at level 100, at every level, like 51, 52, 53, it's good. That number is going up of what you need. And at level 100, it's about 9,230. And then at level 150 monster, it gets close to 13,000, right? And so what this ends up, kind of creating is that the player really never knows when they're done with armor, right? That number can scale up forever. It's kind of a hidden system under the hood. So when you're fighting these monsters and they get way higher level than you as you scale into the pit or nightmare dungeons or whatever, you don't really know how much you need. And so this is kind of really contributing to that phenomenon where you're fine. You're
Why can't you just show that?
The higher level monsters just start one-shotting you. So in Season 4, a lot of it's going to be the same as Season 3. It's still going to be your source of physical damage mitigation. The cap is still going to be 85%. And you're still going to need escalating amounts of armor as the monster level gets higher. But what we're changing here...
Why can't you just show what percent of armor of physical resistance you're at?
Armor is now going to cap at that level 100 monster number. So that 9,230, you can write down this number. We're also going to later get into the tooltip. We couldn't get it in for the launch of Season 4, but we'll have it soon after. But it's kind of going to be like elemental resistance, where you get to this number, and then you're kind of done with the system, right? So armor is just another thing on your checkbox of things you want to do as far as defensive survivability, and once you get it, you're done. You can get it from gear, legendary aspects, and so on. Particularly in Season 4, I think this will be a little bit of an easy number to hit. We're not trying to make this super difficult or hard to do. It'll be very achievable for you when you're a level 100 player. So here we have a zoom in on the tooltip so you can see this player has, way above that 9,000 amount of armor that they need. They have close to 16,000. But you can see there, that it's capped out at that 85% physical resistance. And again, soon after the launch of Season 4, we're going to actually put the cap that you need of the number that you're chasing, because we want you to know what the goal is that you're trying to hit.
So you have a lot of room for optimization, right?
Correct, yeah. This means that this player can actually give up armor on some of their, tempering or item affixes and look for other stats. That's kind of...
Like more damage? Get rid of some of that armor and get more damage.
Stat caps. So, now that we've introduced a lot of ways to get really high amounts of stats in the game, we want to kind of control for visual clarity, what a player can put onto their screen. So kind of similar to some caps we have already in the game, like attack speed or elemental resistance, we're putting some caps on cooldown reduction and the increased area size. It's really fun to get those giant frost novas that cover the screen, but when it goes like 2 or 3 screens away, it can get really noisy and messy. So we still want these stats to be really powerful and impactful, but just control a little bit the amount of insanity that they can bring.
Increased area size cap.
And one thing on this cooldown reduction cap, to be clear, this is not just CDR across the entire game. This is just capping what you can get from gear. So this is like the base
You
cooldown
can still get
reduction
cooldown
you get when you
resets
first
or
cast your
additional
skill,
cooldown
where it's
reduction
going
other
to-
sources
You
like
can
the
still
skill
get
tree.
cooldown resets or additional cooldown effects from things like the skill tree or legendary powers that just reduce the cooldown of your skills as you do certain mechanics. This is just like the baseline cap that comes from your gear.
Okay.
When we looked at the cap for area effect too, we tested it on Frost Nova, and we were like pretty meticulous on what that cap should be, and it was still massive.
No,
like,
it's
100%,
huge. Yeah. When I say like we're making a cap, you're still going to get to insanity when it comes to what's on your screen. It's still going to be awesome. So you can see here, this is just showing you what the tooltip looks like now. So we're going to be showing you.
I'm
know,
fine
as a
with
player,
things
what those
being a
caps
screen
are, so
big.
you know, when you're evaluating your gear on your tooltips.
I don't need it to go off screen.
And same thing here. You can see here, like the dust level area effect size bonus, it caps at 100%.
Okay, so they are showing.
Next, balance updates. So again, like I mentioned before, we made a lot of balance changes based on feedback. Again, thank you for playing and giving us all that feedback. I'm going to go over some of the things. One of the bigger categories of things was, again, like I mentioned, those changes due to combat readability and balancing player power. A few examples here of things that we're reducing are like the amount of dust levels that can be on your screen, and Fractured Winterglass, one of my new favorite uniques we're bringing in. The amount of frozen orbs that could span the screen is going to be reduced a bit, so I want to prepare you all for that. Again, to be clear, you're still going to spawn a whole lot. It's just not going to be like insane amounts where you can't see things anymore. They're still going to be very powerful. I'm even going to show a video a little bit later of kind of the difference of PTR to what's going to ship in the game.
Fortified damage
some other things that we're doing,
10 to 15.
Fortify. We wanted to increase the amount of damage reduction that you get. This is just Fortify across the board, the base mechanic.
So Fortify is getting better.
From 10 to 15%. And this was because before, when it was at 10%, we had to take into account that players could get damage reduction from a million different sources throughout the game. Now that it's more rare and more premium, we can actually make this mechanic in the game a little bit more impactful and feel like you're a tankier player for opting into this.
Okay.
These kinds of builds.
Druid Wolves,
We also made a lot of tempering affix updates. I'm not going to go into detail them, but just know like what you saw in PTR and what's going to ship. You're going to see a lot of improvements, a lot of balance changes, even some shuffling around of the affixes to make them in ways that make more sense based on feedback. And then we did do some class changes as well. I'm only going to give very few examples here, but just know that there were quite a few. One is Druid players. You know, companion Druid players always harass me. They want that build to work, and I agree. It's really cool. So we increased the health of
Zoo
Druid
builds.
by 200%,
They want the
and we
zoo
also
build
reduced
to work.
the respawn rate and cut it in half. So, you know, we got feedback basically that, you know, their companions were really good and fun and did damage, but in the late game they just kind of died and couldn't survive. So we're doing this to kind of address that feedback. All right, so here's Dust Devils as an example. So you can see on the left, this is just one barbarian by themselves, the amount of Dust Devils that they could produce, right? And then on the right, you can see kind of the same barbarian. You can see,
I want to do that.
The Dust Devils around the areas where the enemies are, they're still getting hit by a ton of them, but it's not covering the entire screen, right? And especially when you get like 3, 4, many players together, it really becomes
That's
insane.
true.
Yeah,
if there were
when
like
you're in a
4
four
barbarians.
barbs or, you know, it's just like everyone's a barb and I don't know where I'm walking.
Yeah, and other classes can do that kind of thing too, not just barb, but this was kind of a good example. So, you know, this is kind of seeing the difference between PTR and live. And then next we have another class change, so Scoundrel's Kiss. This is another one of our new uniques that players gave us a lot of feedback on. So a quick summary of how this new unique works is it kind of changes your rapid fire skill from shooting straight and hitting a single enemy into kind of a mortar skill where you shoot up into the air and then your arrows fall on the ground and explode. It's really, really cool, but one of the pieces of feedback we got was that when you launched the arrows, they would kind of go in a line and they wouldn't all hit the same enemy anymore. So if you were trying to do single target damage, it could actually be a nerf unless you like walked right up to the enemies and shotgunned them. And while there was a way to play around it, you know, players weren't really happy that like we transformed the skill so much that it went from a range skill to kind of a melee skill. So we made an update here, and we have a video of the before and after. But basically, you can see on the PTR on the left here how, you know, it goes in a big line, and then the player has to run right next to the target dummy to do the full damage to it. And on the right now, you'll see basically you target where those arrows are going to drop, and they just all go to that area. So you can hit a single enemy, but you'll also hit all the enemies around it because the arrows explode. So it should be a lot more usable compared to before.
Can Scoundrel's Kiss ricochet with my rapid fire?
I'm pretty sure, yes, it can. So it does all the things and inherits all the things that your rapid fire does.
That's
so
very cool.
But can it double projectile?
I'm pretty sure it can, just like everything else. Yes. Yes.
Can it double?
Spam everywhere.
Yes.
We love spam.
Okay.
And last but not least, bug fixes.
That seems
like I mentioned
okay.
before, there were a whole lot of bug fixes.
Don't have much to say about
Thank
that.
you all for getting them. We addressed pretty much every single one that was reported. I'm giving some examples here, but again, we got a lot more
Druid's
than what
Hurricane
I'm showing on
incorrectly
the
scaling
screen.
damage.
One with Druid's Hurricane was incorrectly scaling damage basically infinitely, so we fixed that. Ebon Piercer, the extra missiles from our new unique, they incorrectly had 100% lucky hit chance, which is proccing a lot of crazy stuff. And then Flame Weaver, another one of the new things we introduced to the game. It's basically an effect where you can put a firewall on the ground and then you shoot firebolts through it and it'll split the firebolts. Really cool fantasy.
So you stack out the
What
firewalls.
happened in the PTR was you could stack a bunch of firewalls right on top of each other and they would split the firebolts multiplicatively and add more and more, way more than intended. So you could fire a ridiculous number of firebolts.
That sounds fun. What?
So it wasn't great.
That sounds cool.
But now we fixed that so it'll work properly. And again, we're still discovering and working on other fixes. There were a lot more that went in. If you reported it, it was very likely fixed. So basically, the build will be in a much better, stable state once we launch. And that's really due to all your feedback, so thanks again. And yeah,
Awesome.
that's my section. So.
A lot of changes coming to classes. Class balance feedback we got from PTR was really, really great. You know, we were able to make so many different changes there. Of course, some of the biggest ones like the readability stuff that we probably saw. Seeing the initial videos of like the dust devils everywhere was crazy. Also being in a party with like I was playing PTR and being in a party with like two barbs and like another like next
two
to us, I was
barbs.
like, oh, okay. Like what's going on right now?
As long as the dust devils can actually do damage in this
In
season.
development state, I will say these kinds of things are actually pretty common when we're developing anything. Is being able to create these crazy situations, and we have to fix it for the game before it goes live. So, that's kind of the advantage of PTR is players.
Are they going to have Earthquake Barbarians
Exactly.
be a thing now?
Yeah, PTR was super great for us to have, and thanks again to the community for the feedback on all the class balance changes, and thanks Adam for walking us through that.
Yeah.
The next thing we do want to talk about is with Derek over here. Derek is actually going to talk a little bit about, of course, all the immense Helltide changes. Probably one of the most popular features and changes that we've introduced in Season 4 with PTR and PvP.
Yeah, if they're making it more like the Blood Tide, then it will be
Of course, we got feedback based off of
pretty good
players
system, I
jumping
think.
into Helltide, and we do want to go through all that with Derek. And then we also want to talk a little bit about the season itself with Derek. So, Derek, want to jump in?
Yeah, just a few things to cover. So as you mentioned, the players who joined us when the PTR or caught all the various like blog and video posts and whatnot know that with Season 4, we're introducing permanent upgrades to the Helltide experience. Heavy focus on improving and enhancing, I guess, monster density and activity variety. So there's a ton more things to do in the Helltides, and as a result, there's just a ton more monsters to mow through in the Helltides.
Yes, we want more monsters.
There's also some explorations, and just to double back real quick, these are all permanent across both the seasonal and eternal realms, so they're not going away once Season 4 ends. This is just how Helltide
part of the
works.
game.
Yep.
Kind of like our item updates too, right?
Yeah,
This
now and
is
forever.
the new world we live in. Yeah.
This is Sanctuary. But there's also, if you kind of look at the top right of the screen, there threat
It's
system.
good that they're
So
making
the longer
changes
you're
to the
fighting
base
in
game
the tides, you're going
to
be
make the game
accumulating threat,
better.
which just results in even more monsters ambushing you at higher frequencies than monster packs. I think the personal favorite, and I think like fan favorite, is the Hellworm. This giant demon slug bug that just pops out from the
Slug
ground
bug.
and just vomits monsters all over you. But kind of with all those, the seasons, as we say a lot, are an amazing opportunity for experimentation. And sometimes the best results of those experimentations are when they can inspire permanent upgrades and just enhancements to the base game as a whole. So that's where the Hellborn and the new Accursed Ritual and Blood Maiden come into play as part of the new Helltide experience.
Okay.
Yeah, look at those. Those look rad.
Yeah,
So the Hellborn,
I mean,
as
they
our
look
Season 2
sick.
players might recall, we introduced the Bloodseekers. And those were really cool monsters based on class archetypes. So you're kind of like fighting vampiric shadow versions of yourself. And we take a look at that content,
Yeah, that
we
was
just love
cool.
it from like the team perspective and just find like, hey, we're upgrading the Helltides. This is a perfect piece of content to just include with it.
Yeah,
So
like
that's where
bring
the
in more
Hellborn came into play.
ambushes and
they're fallen
things.
heroes of Sanctuary. They've been overtaken by the corruption from hell and kind of turned against you. Kind of in line with that, the Accursed Ritual and the Blood Maiden. In Season 2, with the Bloodlures and the Bloodseekers, we introduced this concept of, I guess, calling it just like open world social boss summoning. We followed up with like the there's a buzzer right there.
Okay.
Very catchy.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Open world.
Again, to my designer speak sometimes, but yeah. And we followed that up with like the Malthus spawners in season 3, and again, looking at these really successful experimentations from previous seasons. We love opportunities to bring players together and just add that extra layer.
Am I gonna have to be a sorceress this season
so that's where
to do
the accursed ritual comes into play. So as you're out fighting against the
Frostbolt
tides,
build?
you'll be collecting the new material, the Baneful Hearts.
Frozen
that you
Orb, I
bring
mean?
to the accursed ritual.
Is Frozen
it takes
Orb an
3
actual-
to summon up the Blood Maiden, and you can do this, by yourself, or you can partner up with some buddies and all, I guess, contribute to the summoning together. And the Blood Maiden itself is our new Helltide mini boss. That she's immensely powerful, but also very, very lucrative. And I think the last thing
That's what we want.
forgot to mention is that this is all expanding into World Tiers 1 and 2 as well, and kind of like a distilled, not diluted. So the Helltide in World Tier 1 and 2 is more specifically tuned to, I guess like meet the leveling needs, or the needs of the leveling player.
Awesome. On the Blood Maiden,
So you
I
can
remember
just
you
go
were talking
straight into
about the
Helltide
before that.
at level 1
The people that summon the Blood
on World
Maiden
Tier
actually get
1 or
bonus,
2.
loot drops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can either contribute just by yourself
Rather
to
than
the
having-
Blood Maiden and get some extra loot for your troubles. We want to.
Yeah, but am I gonna have to
give you a little
do
bit extra because you're sacrificing up your hearts?
the
But
seasonal
also,
quest line on every single character?
Every player that it doesn't stack, so you're not stressed to say, hey, I just need to be the one that summons them all. We can all party up and just deposit our own baneful hearts and I guess reap the benefits of that.
Yeah.
Right.
To be clear, so if you put in all 3, you get bonus loot, right?
Correct.
But like you, me, and Colin are in a group, and like I put in 2 and you put in 1, do I get more loot than you?
No. So you get the same amount of loot. So if Colin has a baneful heart to deposit, if we all dump them in together, then
we all get the
the shared
bonus,
benefits of that.
Got it,
But
okay.
I will touch on a bit later the PTR updates and just some of the enhanced value.
But if you
that
put in all
Blood Maiden
3
received since PTR
and
for
get
both
bonus
contributors and
loot,
non-contributors to the summon.
then people aren't going to want to contribute
A lot
anyway.
of new stuff coming in for Helltide, then this is all part of the stuff that players got to experience in the PTR, and of course we got learnings from the PTR as you just mentioned.
Many.
Do you want to walk
So
us
it's
through some of the
just
changes that are coming
promoting
in Helltide
doing
for
it solo because
the PTR
to get
feedback?
bonus loot.
Yeah, I think I have a PowerPoint on my own. Let's see. There you go. Look at that.
Fancy.
Yeah, so, as mentioned, tons of sweeping changes going into the Helltides and just overall balance of the game in general at Season 4. And kind of with that, sometimes, we push a little bit too far in some regards. So we did get feedback and also just own internal kind of fill checks on
Issue gathered feedback
the
with
Cinder
Cinder
drop rates
drops.
were feeling a bit slow in the PTR. So we just went back, reviewed it, and gathered our feedback and just iterated on the drop percentage to hit closer
This is
to the
basically
expectations of
saying
how
they felt
much
too
we
slow.
want
We
to be
we
collecting
upped them.
the cinders and interacting with the tortured gifts. So I think we're in a much better spot. I know we're in a much better spot right now, actually. So that was one of the first major pieces coming out from the PTR.
A lot more chests from this, yeah.
Yeah, chest, more loot, more fun.
Awesome.
Let's see, next one. Yeah, so on the topic of more is more fun, the Baneful Hearts, we were noticing that they were dropping a bit inconsistently. So you can get the Baneful Hearts from opening tortured gifts,
Use Don't Hoard.
killing the Hellborn, and one of the Doomsayer variants, one of our new activity types. But again, we want to get the Baneful Hearts in the hands of the players with a pretty steady cadence. So we noticed with the PTR that we're just
But they don't
not
want you
getting
to
them
hoard
as
them?
frequently as we wanted to.
Why?
So we just went back, iterated, and kind of reviewed our bad luck protection to just ensure that we improve the consistency that Baneful Hearts are dropping. And this is all kind of like,
Why don't they just
Blood
make
Maiden
them
is not meant to be seen
100%?
as like this highly ambitious piece of content that you only engage with like once every 50 levels. We want you getting the hearts. We want you engaging with the social boss summoning mechanic, and I think it just adds that extra layer to the Helltides we want you to engage with. And on the topic of the Blood Maiden, overall, like we touched on earlier, the Blood Maiden is just seeing some overall rewards improvements. So, as noticed, or as mentioned before, if you contribute to the summon of the Blood Maiden, you receive a bonus reward. But one of the things was that you couldn't really tell. There is a little icon that appears like where your buff bar, but the effects of that was largely unnoticed from both the team and actually just the PTR players themselves.
Oh.
So again, taking this
so
opportunity
you get a
to
bonus
just review
reward
the
if you
overall
contribute.
value of the Blood Maiden
But they were saying you get
for
more if you
contributors and
contribute all
non-contributors
3.
alike. Because again, we wanted to make sure that she has a clear role in the Helltide experience. So, again, overall, Blood Maiden is just overall more valuable. With this, we're dropping things like Legendaries, Forgotten Souls, Lord's Zermatt, and a % chance for contributors at the end world tiers to get some end game boss materials as well.
Yeah, so this is now like an additional opportunity for players to get additional of the boss mats for the boss ladders. Which we've heard a lot about how players were like, hey, we only really have one kind of method to get them, and we wanted to expand that and bring that into more avenues so players didn't have to just kind of be like tunneled off into one area to get like specific boss mats, which is cool.
Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
Yes.
I like that the contribution encourages you to actually use these. In Season 2, I just chain summon the boss over and over and over, and there would be this awkward dance where someone would show up, and it's like, I know you have
the waiting game. Like
use your material.
Yeah, and that's why it's really also important that the nuance is honestly lost pretty frequently when we're talking about like drops for different kinds of creatures in different sorts of situations like this. Like Treasure Goblin, we talked about Treasure Goblin a while ago, a few seasons ago, and I remember I put a poll out on X.com.
So
at one point, I put a poll out basically asking players what they believed the legendary drop rate of Treasure Goblins to be, and I had a whole bunch of options, and I think like 85% of the players were wrong. And because the drop rate at that time was 50%, players didn't feel it because they didn't see the Treasure Goblin enough to really notice that it was actually that high. So I think making sure that like we were like buffing up those moments where like if I have my contribution
Treasure
bonus
Goblins
higher,
aren't
that helps make sure that
as frequent as they are in Diablo 3, that's for sure.
Joe talking off.
Diablo 3, you can actually feel like you find Treasure Goblins. Diablo 4, it doesn't feel like you find them at all, hardly ever.
We should play
every time.
Yeah, every time. And then like Joe's turned into Bale.
I'm literally coming in.
That's awkward.
That wasn't part of the plan.
I like the deep shadows.
That's where he is.
I guess the moments when I decide to say something, maybe they'll occasionally.
I was like, we have another camera. Awesome. Cool. So a lot of Helltide changes that we have coming into.
Yeah, I think there's actually one more slide.
I'm pretty sure one more.
Chest of Doomsaying variants now just explode into the premium loot directly.
Across like just tempering and just the masterwork and just the spirit of Season 4 in general, just like removing friction points and just keeping players in the flow, the flow of fun.
People want
Reduce channel time to open tortured gifts from 3 seconds to 1. Why don't they just make it instant?
New activity types,
you just click on the chest and it pops open.
They crackle and pop into something,
like
a variety of things actually. So one of the variants that we had was the Chest of Doomsaying, where they would explode into a tortured gift that costs 50 cinders and gives you a whole lot of good stuff. We're kind of reviewing that, and sometimes what can happen is you can encounter one of these at the very start of your Helltide run, and you don't have 50 cinders. It's not a lot to get, but it still is kind of a stressful, potentially feels bad moment. So we just said, hey, let's just have it explode into the loot directly. You save 50 cinders, and you kind of just keep going on your merry way in the tides. So that's one of the kind of like efficiency smoothing outs that we've done. The next one is also just, we're dumping a whole bunch of monsters on you, and it's always a feel bad moment when you get knocked out of an interaction. You're trying just to open up the tortured gift and head out. So we reduced the channel time to open tortured gifts from 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds.
They still want you to have that chance of the monsters interrupting you.
That'll help a lot. So, and I think we'll adjust some feedback.
I guess that's to stop people from just like,
instant, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You kind of do want to safeguard against like the accidental clicks. Again, it's a frenetic game, so you're clicking a whole bunch, and I think 1.5 seconds is enough time to let you make sure that that's what you want to commit to before you open it.
And there's also like,
I guess that's true. If you're like, oh, I didn't want to accidentally spend 250 of my cinders on that dumb chest, but I was fighting this monster when.
Oh yeah, dot damage now will interrupt channeling as well, which I think is a pretty good,
which is good. So especially as you are in the frantic areas of Helltide and everything. So lots of Helltide changes, a lot of good feedback from players from PTR. Derek, thanks for walking through on that, but you're not done yet.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. As you guys know, like there is, this is Season 4 Loot Reborn, and part of Helltide includes the Iron Wolves, and some people have figured that out even before our blog on Tuesday, but we did want to talk a little bit about Season 4 and the Iron Wolves' participation in that, along with some cool things that are specific to seasonal characters for Season 4 as well.
Please make it so I don't have to do the seasonal question on each character I make.
Various blog posts, will notice that the Iron Wolves are now a permanent part of the Helltides. You know, they're fighting and dying alongside the players now, and they're here to stay. However, for our seasonal players, we have the Call of the Wolves seasonal activity, where players will get to spend a bit more time with the Iron Wolves and go on a bit of a journey with them to try and uncover the potential root cause behind these rising tides and uncover this mysterious phenomenon that's threatening to corrupt and consume the Iron Wolves from within. In addition to that, you know, again, the Iron Wolves are in the Helltides with you. As players are fighting and dying alongside the Iron Wolves and the Helltides, you're also going to be earning your way through the Wolves Honor reputation system.
So
and
there's a
this is saying you
reputation.
progress your way through a collection of just super juiced rewards that are specifically tuned to overpower your leveling journey from level 1 to 100 and beyond. The main pillar for this reputation track was really pushing the player's powers forward. The player power forward, there you go. The player's power forward and giving them early access to, you know, gear with juice stats, legendaries, materials, boss materials, and even a resplendent spark as like a cherry on top at the end.
We love the juice.
We do love that. But, you know, in the spirit of Wait, There's More, you know, those are all like the gameplay related things, but we also have a couple of really cool cosmetics that you earn through the collective Call of the Wolf seasonal activity. So this is the Iron Wolf Mount Trophy, the little Iron Wolf banner. And, oh, a little bit fast, but yeah, so the Iron Wolf Mount Trophy, we're doing it live here. That's earned from completing there it is. You can get both of them. That's earned through completing the reputation track, and the Blood Maiden head is earned by completing the associated Call of the Wolf quest line.
Awesome. Yeah, those look really great. And of course, as you mentioned, Resplendent Sparks. And then I know there's one other item that I know we wanted to talk about with this season specific, because it is specific for season 4. And
yeah. Thanks for the reminder on that. There's so much to cover.
I know. There's a lot. I know. Derek has like the largest list of items to kind of go through here. So
yeah. So you know, as mentioned before, on the seasonal team, we love our experiments, and I don't think a season would be one without some level of experiment. So with that, we have the seasonal item, or as kind of like call it the seasonal toy, and that's the Profane Mind Cage.
Profane Mind Cage.
So the Profane Mind Cage is pretty cool in the sense that it's a guaranteed drop from the Hellborn, and when you consume it, I kind of like to imagine you just like eating this demon's
eat a brain?
When you consume it, for the next 60 minutes, the Helltide monsters are going to be boosted up to 10 levels, depending on the world tier that you consumed it in.
Monsters in World Tiers 1 and 2 are kept at 50.
You're also going to be increasing their Aberrant Cinder drop rates. So, you know, again, all tying this back to that leveling journey and like.
So it's making the monsters stronger by
really
like increasing them 10 levels, but more lucrative.
Lets you kind of put your build to a little bit more of a test in exchange for maximizing your Helltide efficiencies through, you know, just one higher monster level means, you know, more XP and stuff like that, and also just Aberrant Cinder drops too.
Yeah. We also.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we juiced the World Tier 2, 3, and 4 XP, so it ties super well. You can just get to blast to endgame very quickly now.
Yep.
Yeah, and with the Mind Cage itself, like, you know, because everyone's probably going like, well, that's a consumable. Like, how do people end up like obtaining it?
So the way to level is to just go to Helltides.
Those throughout the season and everything.
Yeah, we want to be very generous with those. So one, they're a guaranteed drop from the Hellborn in World Tiers 3 and 4, but you can also use them in World Tiers 1 and 2. So if you want to like boost some level, you know, alts and whatnot. You also get I think like a bucket of them through the Wolves Honor reputation. Like we crammed as many rewards as we could in there, so they will be in steady stream. So don't, again, in the spirit of like use it, don't hoard it. Definitely experiment and have fun with this thing, because you know it's a game. Have fun.
Yeah, so it's great. Like if you want a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit better rewards as well, you can.
But I want to hoard my boss, my summoning materials to then just do a ton of them at once.
Awesome to see. But yeah, thank you, Derek,
back to
for
back.
walking through all the changes with Helltide, and of course some of the new season stuff with the Iron Wolves. And if you're a lore nerd, Iron Wolves, of course, are a very familiar faction within Diablo. They are from Diablo 2, Act 3. You could actually hire them as some of your mercenaries, or one of the mercenary options, though we know a lot of people went with an Act 2 mercenary in Diablo 2 for the aura. But yes, cool. Thank you so much, Derek. And of course, we still have more to talk about. We're actually going to go back to Colin, and Colin is going to talk us through a little bit about the pit. The pit is a brand new feature within Season 4 and is now a permanent feature within Diablo 4.
That's right.
Yeah, do you want to like give us a breakdown for people who may have not experienced the pit or may have not seen the stream beforehand?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, tell us about all the improvements that we're doing to the pit based off of feedback.
Yeah, so
yes, what is the pit?
Something that players have asked for since we did a bunch of nerfs to the Nightmare Dungeons, if you recall, I forget what season it was, but we made tier 100 Nightmare Dungeons a lot easier so players could get through them. One of the big pieces of feedback we got was, okay, well, where's my measuring stick? You know, the game is a power fantasy. It's about getting as much raw power as possible and just dominating, right? So if there's no place to push back, then everything's just a little bit too easy. So the Pit of the Artificer is our answer to that measuring stick. You're going to be able to push very deep into the pit. There's a lot of levels. We were inspired by Abattoir of Zir, but to be very clear, Abattoir of Zir was a special case in that each tier jump was just like brutal.
It was like exponential.
Yeah, it was like ridiculously hard every single tier, and it's like you could only get to 7, which isn't very heroic or powerful, right? So we've taken a lot of learnings from Abattoir of Zir. The pit goes very deep. There's many more tiers. It's much more gradual, so you can start pushing into it and getting some of these masterworking material rewards. And the pit is all about just blasting through monsters and the demons of hell, right? There's no negative modifiers. We're not CCing you a bunch. This is really just a test of how powerful your build is. So from the PTR, we actually got feedback that it was way too easy because we added a ton of power through tempering, through the Codex of Power. It's just much easier to get a lot of those aspects online. So we've taken a look and we've moved some of the masterworking material tiers around. Previously, the tier 1 masterworking materials only came from 1 to 20.
Minion
we've
build.
moved that up 10 tiers. So tier 1 will come from 1 to 29. Tier 2 will come from 30 to 59, and tier 3 will be 60 plus. And what that does is
minions can actually kill bosses now.
More rewarding, right? Like we saw in the PTR that people just like within the first 2 hours just blasted through all of it because they're so powerful. So we've just adjusted some of the rates there. So you have to
but I'm like a noob.
Deeper. You have to optimize your build.
I don't know if I'll
more. So those armor caps are things to watch out for, right? Where if you're over the armor cap, it's just a straight optimization to start thinking about how you want to replace some of that armor. We think that feels pretty good. And overall, we've increased the health and damage, or sorry, I should say, increased the health on all monsters post level 100, both in the pit and Nightmare Dungeons. So the enemies should be pushing back on you a little bit more, right? You care a little bit more about utility, defense, outside of just one-shotting everything, right? So it sort of tests you a lot more. And part of that feedback, though, that we've heard is that, well, like Nightmare Dungeons don't feel very rewarding. The pit doesn't feel super rewarding post, that 60 tier when you're getting those top-end masterworking materials.
Yeah, so it's like why push further?
One is we've added obols that scale with both of these tiers. So everything past tier 46 in Nightmare Dungeons and everything past tier 1 in the pit, actually. It just always gives you obols. You might ask, like, but obols are terrible. But again,
why do I want obols?
Yeah, why would I want obols?
A big part of season 4 was that we made the gambler guarantee 925 legendaries at level 100, and those legendaries can roll greater affixes. So if you blow a ton of obols on two-handers, for example, those two-handed legendaries you're getting are the same as anywhere else in the game. So it's actually a huge efficiency boost to getting the items you're looking for.
So to be clear, you can get like some of the best items in the game from the obol vendor now.
Absolutely.
So that makes them a lot more.
And
okay,
one
so
thing
obols are
is also changing with obols. It's like because when people pick up obols, they're like, "Oh, I've got my cap," and now I'm like,
someone's like typing,
"I run back to town."
But Colin, the obol cap is fucked. So we've increased the obol cap substantially.
Oh dear.
So the amount of obols you get now is 2,500. You can hold up to.
Oh yeah.
So you can just go to the gambler and be like, "Give me everything," and you can just do that a couple of times.
Yeah. So get your obols and hit the tables. Much.
Yeah, exactly. And the items are incredible.
And just to double down on this for a second too,
so it's like rolling at Kadala from Diablo 3.
When you use the enchanting feature in Diablo 4, you can't actually enchant off of an affix into a greater affix.
That's right.
Yes.
So when a good item drops for you in the base game, you can't try to roll for greater affixes off the enchanting system.
Yeah.
It's good for getting you to a stat you really need in a situation where an item didn't get you what you wanted.
Yeah.
But now with the obols vendor, those items, not only are they I power 925 and they have the chance to be legendary, of course, like the obols vendor always has, but you also have a chance to get greater affixes
right.
off those gambled items.
Yeah.
So if you are, again, if you're looking for a particular pair of gloves, you're looking for a particular helmet, and you're saying, I really
Seems
want
like
a greater affix version of cooldown reduction.
A lot of game loops from Diablo 3 are being introduced here.
I'm going to go to the vendor. I'm just going to just gamble, and try to get that one helmet.
Yeah.
Like now I have a chance to really do that, and this is a way for you to like getting more drops and such inside.
He's currently describing how you
giving
played
you more
Diablo
choice
3.
when you get out of a pit run. I think it'd be very, very valuable.
It's gonna feel way better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and another change we made was to Glyph XP. We got a bunch of feedback that's like, God, what the hell, Nightmare Dungeon. So we've increased the Glyph XP by 25%, which is faster leveling. And we've also scaled the amount of rune shards, which is the pit currency to get into the pit, with Nightmare Dungeon. So you can create sort of a positive feedback loop. If you're really strong, you're really powerful, you're hitting those tier 100s in the Nightmare Dungeons, you're getting tons of pit keys that you can then translate into the pit and just get lots of runs and lots of masterworking there.
Yeah, so a lot of feedback from Nightmare Dungeons. People were saying like, hey, are we planning on making any changes to that Glyph XP? And so there are some. We sure did. We actioned on it for sure.
Really
so,
actioned on
and
it.
There's funny enough. There's also even in the season journey, I believe there's also like changes to the ashes themselves, where you can actually use that to boost even like Glyph XP is also part of that. With the season journey. So very cool stuff that we have.
One more. Sorry. I have this list, but then I don't actually read it.
But
it's just like
I have this list, but I don't actually read
it. One other thing that we did
One
was
more
we heard a bunch
thing.
of feedback that players were dying at the end of the
need to
pit,
put
because we
this
have
video
this
in my
like shadow
description.
boss that sometimes comes in and throws a wrench in what you're doing. And you know, as much as I push for learn to play, our encounter designers.
I like to get good philosophy person.
Ruthless.
Absolutely.
Take that, hardcore players. Surprise.
Surprise.
Isn't it fun to die after you killed the boss? So our encounter designer did an amazing job cleaning up a lot of those affixes after you kill that boss, and the arena should be clear now after you kill that boss.
As chat says, get good. We saw that a lot, and you know, if you're a hardcore player, that would have been a tragic loss to your character.
I prefer the word hilarious.
Yeah, some designers like fist pumping, like yes, got him.
Just watching streams and reactions from that. So awesome. So a lot of changes coming for the pit. Pit is, of course, a new feature within Diablo 4 permanently, and you can experience that in Eternal and Seasonal realms. And of course, we have some updates to the boss ladder, because the boss ladder itself is changing pretty significantly. We talked a little bit about like how you can get additional materials in other places that Derek had mentioned, but Colin has additional like points that he wants to bring up about the boss ladder, because we got a lot of feedback on that, and there's some new changes to it with Season 4.
Yeah, so we added Andariel, the best lesser evil.
Yes.
Andariel.
Ooh, Asmodan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's dunking me.
Dunks me with orbs all day. Who likes that guy?
Yeah. So Andariel, obviously, has come back. She's incredibly fun to fight. The encounter design team killed it. And you know, on top of Andariel, we've added a new tier to the boss ladder called Tormented
I am happy
bosses.
that Andariel is coming
much
back.
higher level than level 200 bosses, sort of pinnacle aspirational bosses to take down. And what we've done here is we heard a bunch of feedback that it required 5 times the amount of boss materials, including some rare pit material, to summon these, and 5 times the reward. That didn't really feel like the right amount of reward efficiency for taking on something that was challenging, so we've nerfed the cost. It's now 3x the amount of boss material and 5x the reward, so you get some pretty big efficiency wins there, especially if you're crushing them in the end game. So that's feeling pretty good, we think. We also heard a lot of feedback that it's tedious to do the same activity over and over and over to summon some of these things, right? So it's like, I want to summon Penitent Knight, or I want to do the Beast of Ice. I know you and I have done that one, like, you know,
every build I've chosen in a season requires the Beast and Ice, and
it's like, I guess I'm
just
doing
stuck
another
in
Nightmare
Dungeon hell forever. It's been great.
So
they just need to add more resources.
A lot of our random, monsters and activities and things like that.
They just need to drop the materials.
Elites, Whisper Caches, Treasure Goblins, World Bosses, Hellborn, to name a few, are all going to start randomly dropping these boss materials. So, you're not necessarily forced into doing one exact activity. It's still going to be the absolute best way to get some of this boss material, but as long as you're blasting, you're just going to be getting a lot of these materials ambiently, which you can trade. You can just sort of cash in on at your heart's desire. I mean, we think this makes the game feel more flexible and just sort of enables you to play a little bit more.
Just open it up.
Play, while still keeping the experience fresh.
And just let the boss materials have a chance to drop.
Yeah.
And then when you collect enough.
To jump back into the Torment bosses, just because I'm going to jump around a little bit, we heard a bunch of feedback, especially from Mudijo. Hopefully he's watching. Is that
There's
the
no
bosses?
way Mudijo is watching right now.
I know, probably not. Yeah, it's not very interesting. We did some tuning to make sure that the tormented versions have some more parity, right? It was sort of like in a scenario where like one of the ladder bosses was just like dead easy, didn't really match the difficulty of the rest, and that's important because we give you one guaranteed resplendent spark one time for defeating any of these. So one step closer to getting that uber unique that's not just a raw drop.
And if one of them is super easy, then that's the only one you're going to want to do for the reward.
Sparks, we're adding one to Uber Lilith. So the first time you kill Uber Lilith, you're also going to get another resplendent spark. So
now that
salvage from mythic unique equipment. Transmute to add an alchemist to create new mythic unique equipment.
Spark. We heard one from Derek at the end of the season, the Iron Wolves.
When did they add that into the game?
Yeah,
because I don't remember that being a part of the game.
We now have one with the Echo of Lilith, and of course one with your first Tormented boss as well. So additional opportunities to earn Resplendent Sparks, and of course you can still salvage your any Uber gear that you do happen to find.
Yeah.
And
Uber! I've never gotten an Uber unique, so that makes sense.
If you do all of these, and then you get an Uber unique, you can actually change that into whatever one you want.
Yes,
is really what that means.
And then something else, on the Uber uniques is that
I'm just laughing because I didn't realize this, but chat's calling out with our tooltip that we showed. We had 200 plus resplendent sparks.
Yeah,
that's what happens when
we're just really lucky.
Yeah.
We're just good.
Yeah.
That's how I get them.
Let me tell you
That's how
guys
you
about
get them.
dev tools.
Yeah, that's actually my account online.
Right.
So.
That's actually my account.
On the Uber uniques, we heard a bunch of feedback that it feels like a chore to have to do, the penance at night into Varshan, into doing Duriel just for a chance at an Uber unique, right? And we've experienced that ourselves, right? It's like, God, I got to do all this stuff to fight the boss that's going to actually drop something that I care about. Greater Rapids is helped that because there's some variation to the uniques you're going to get. But for Uber uniques, we've actually added a small chance, a little bit lower than Duriel, to all of the ladder bosses, and they're going to have a chance to drop an Uber unique as well. So while you're grinding through this ladder, every single boss you kill is going to have a chance to drop an Uber unique. It's not exactly the same as Duriel and Duriel. Probably do like a
Duriel and
we think that's going to make it feel a lot better.
Awesome.
So there's a chance on all the ladder bosses to drop Uber uniques. Okay.
Based off of PTR feedback that we saw, plus just overall changes for season 4 that we were planning, so that it's gives more opportunities for players to actually experience it. And of course, the new versions of the bosses themselves and the Tormented Echo versions. So. Awesome. Thank you so much, Colin.
Of course.
And I know we wanted to, before we jump into Q&A, because we're getting towards the end of our updates for Season 4, Mr. Adam Jackson wants to talk a little bit about the season journey. This is actually something really
The season
cool.
journey.
One last thing. Us over on Class Designer, we're really passionate about this and we're excited for it. So the season journey. So we really want to kind of juice the rewards and make the season journey more exciting. And so what we went and did was...
I want them to take out the seasonal quest chain.
You're actually going to be getting a preset, curated amount
after the
of
first time. I'm okay with doing it once.
That are targeted toward a specific build. So we chose a build for every class in Season 4, and we're going to change it around in future seasons. Please give us feedback on this, but we think it'll be pretty cool. But you're basically going to get like close to a completed build when it comes to opening those caches. They're guaranteed targeted legendaries to build.
Oh, so it's Hadrig's gift from Diablo 3.
We have a video to show what they're going to be for every class in Season 4.
They need to call it Hadrig's gift.
Maybe there. So Barbarian here, you can see.
Dust Devil
we're going to
build.
be giving you a bunch of legendaries related to Dust Devils. The Druid, we're going to be giving you basically a pulverized build, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Next is the Necromancer.
Minion
of
army.
Course, everybody's going to be playing minions, so we gave you a bunch of minion-focused legendaries. This should be pretty awesome.
Minions are the best.
And then next is the Sorceress. We actually have a cool
Incinerate.
legendary coming into the game for Incinerate, which you'll see here.
Yeah. Whoa.
So we were giving you an Incinerate build on the Sorceress.
Triple Incinerate.
And then the Rogue, we're giving you one targeted toward Barrage. So again, kind of the point of this is that, if you don't really know what you want to play, or you really want to just go through a season journey and try out something before you go to a build that you really want to do, you have a foundation of something more complete to start with, which we're pretty excited
So they're adding
about.
Hadrig's Gift in from Diablo 3.
Now.
Another
Also,
thing...
like all those items are actually dropping out of the season journey caches. You get to kind of keep those. They're all going to your codex. You can use that build for the entirety of your leveling process.
Correct.
Yeah.
Awesome. So lots of changes coming this season. Sorry, my mic died halfway through there, so I had to do a quick mic swap as we were playing.
We were free. From
also, Joe Piper is back. Hi, Joe. Derek is now over here. So if people are confused of like what's going on, we are playing musical chairs today. That is also a new feature coming in season 4. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So a lot of changes. Season 4, pretty huge. It's by far the biggest season for Diablo 4 yet.
Yeah, they're changing.
I know we wanted to jump into Q&A. I did want to bring up one thing as well.
Oh, wow, okay.
Which is, this is a change that will be represented in, by the way, patch notes are coming out immediately after this stream. So,
okay.
So that's one thing. So yeah, people can check out patch notes.
Patch notes directly after the stream.
As much as we
I will be reading those.
And I wouldn't, based off of the size of the patch notes, I wouldn't be surprised if we do have a few things that might be missing that we'll probably like have to post add if as we're kind of going through it, just because it's massive in terms of size, as people saw from PTR, and now it's just even
it represents a few different teams like effort trying to deliver this too. Yeah.
So but patch notes will be up. One thing in the patch notes that I did want to bring up is, and this is a thing that's coming in season 4, is for players that want to change their hair on their characters themselves, they can actually go to the wardrobe now and actually be able to do it, which is a nice, like, good quality of life feature. We've heard a lot of people go like, hey, I kind of want to, I made that character a while ago, especially like an eternal character or something like that. I'd like to be able to change that around. Yeah, I now have that flexibility of being able to do so, which is actually really cool. So we're going to jump into Q&A.
I'm not sure why that matters.
As we always do.
Because you just put on a helmet.
We will start off with a question.
And then you can't see your hair.
That's been a popular
but I guess they
topic
do
that a lot
have
of people have been talking
transmogging,
about,
so
since
you can take your
PTR
helmet
and
off.
even this week with the blog itself. But
don't leave me in suspense.
I know. I think we have the question. There it is. What does this mean for season powers in the future?
Oh, just what season 4 is, like the nature of season 4.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So yeah, season 4 is season 4, as I mentioned before, is like an opportunity for us to kind of like lift up a lot of aspects of the game that we think are really important. Diablo is a game about killing monsters and getting loot.
Yeah, they needed to redo their whole item system.
At least as good as killing monsters, right? Like it's extremely important that this part feels good. And we took a lot of our development effort and put it against that goal as part of this release. And there were other parts of the game that we lifted up at the same time, like the various changes that we talked about for Helltide, for example. The myriad new tempering recipes and things like that. There's lots of things we did, I think, as part of the release, just make the base experience of Diablo 4 more fun, right? So I'm really excited we're able to do that in Season 4. Thinking about what the future holds, we always want to make sure that with every season, we are adapting to what we think the game needs at that time. We think it's going to make for a better experience overall. We love the idea of seasonal powers. We've learned a lot of really, really great stuff from the days of the Barber all the way through the vampiric powers we got in Season 2 and all the Seneschal and Construct stuff we had in Season 3. We have lots of big ideas for the future.
I didn't mess with the Seneschal and Construct stuff very much at all.
In different themes and mechanics as we go. That's kind of our promise to you. And with the things that we have in terms of like the Iron Wolves quest line and the various rewards you get, changes we made to the season journey for like getting like all of those themed items, those various like kind of aspect builds together as you kind of progress through. We want to keep building upon these mechanical elements as well at the same time to kind of continue to help lift up the experience. So yeah, we will be returning seasonal powers in the future. But with every season, we want to make sure that we're doing what we think is lifting the game up the most, the things that we think are most important at that time.
Awesome. Question from I'll bounce between some questions from chat and from our forums, because we did have a thread up in our forums about specific questions, but this one's from the forums. This is from Avalon. They're asking if, because Season 3 actually ran longer and Season 4 itself had a PTR, will Season 4 actually be a shortened season, or will it still be a standard size season? They weren't sure how PTR is actually affecting the time on it.
So PTR is not as impactful for the timing here. I think it's a slightly shorter season. I think it's like 1 week shorter or something. I need to look at the date.
Yeah, and I will note, like, PTR, the reason why
but a lot of this
Season 3
stuff
ran longer was
is
because we
going
wanted
into
to
the
make
base
sure that
game
we
anyway,
hit that
so
PTR.
the
This
season
was our
length,
first PTR, so
the season
there's
length
a little bit more effort into needed to
won't
get that out for
Yeah,
players.
I guess you're absolutely right. So like I think about like when I think about the future and like what PTRs look like, and what we want things to be like. It's not that like having a PTR automatically means that everything is going to take longer to deliver. But there was a lot of things we had to set up for the first time for the PTR for season 4, and I'm really glad that we did because as I think you've seen, there's a lot of things we learned as going through the process.
And it gave us the time to iterate and use the feedback too, which we did a lot of things on based on.
Question from Blake Darko CS. Will you guys think about maybe a potential different beam color for items with greater affixes?
So I know we talked about this for a while.
Yeah, I think that's something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. Like right now, we think that the little dots, or I should say huge dots, the huge stars on them, are doing a pretty good job. But that's something that we also need to feel out and play, and we're super open to feedback and seeing how these new big stars are going to help.
Yeah. The change, especially the changes in the inventory, because now you can actually identify them in your inventory, and everything is really big.
And these also roll on unique, so there's a little bit of like work that we'll need to figure out. But again,
it's true. Yeah, you can get greater affix on unique items as well.
So it's like
greater affixes on uniques.
There, so something that we'll monitor for sure, and of course something that we've seen from players and a lot of people bringing that specifically up. Fire Dragon Dad says, are the Season 4 updates going to retro into existing Eternal? So everything we talked about today, with the exception of the Iron Wolves questline stuff, is actually present in the Eternal realm. So
all the Hellfire changes,
power changes, everything like that
all
will
the
be
Codex
there.
of Power.
I know there are a lot of questions related to like the Codex changes, especially for Eternal players. And just to clarify, if you have aspects in your inventory and your stash, it'll take whatever your highest roll of that specific aspect, and that will become your new best Codex entry when Season 4 does start. You may need to log on to specific characters on Eternal to at least like for us to be able to check your inventory, but the stash I know will automatically move over there. Cool. And same thing for I know we get a lot of questions about like items on Eternal. Those will be marked as like legacy items specifically because obviously we've changed a lot of affixes and everything.
And those items you can't craft on those items either at that point. Like you can't temper those items and you can't masterwork those items. But they'll still retain like the item upgrades.
That makes sense.
Exactly. So if
I delete all my characters
like log on,
pretty much anyway, so
unusable. It's just marked as legacy, and you wouldn't.
For the most part, I do keep.
It's a great stepping off point to getting some new items that could have greater affixes and other things that could make you even more powerful.
A question that we have actually from the forums. This is from Iggy. With the itemization reworks, is there what is like the next like big thing you guys are actually looking at potentially wanting to really work on within the team? I don't know if we want to play our cards too early.
Well, I think
we're working on things.
We're working on all kinds of stuff, everybody. But no, I think one thing we want to continue to work on, I think you see like, as we're thinking more about the end game experience, a lot like when we launched Diablo 4, we thought of end game really as a journey from 50 to 100, like the things you're doing along the way, and getting all of your Paragon glyphs and leveling those glyphs up, and diving deeper into Nightmare Dungeons, and going and eventually confronting Lilith. That was what we kind of imagined or thought that endgame would feel like, and that was a good thing for us to build on. I think we saw that a lot more players were looking for endgame like explicitly at level 100. Yeah. That was when they wanted a lot more things to open up, and we've made a lot of changes recently.
Right, you level up to 100 and then what?
More gameplay around that part of the experience between like the itemization changes and the crafting changes, and also the introduction of like tormented bosses, and of course the Pay the Artificer.
Yeah.
So I think that like we know that there's more opportunities for us to build on these things, right? Like I think you've heard me say this before, but a lot of the things we're doing in Season 4 specifically really are done to like build a new framework, for how endgame sort of functions.
They had to build a new framework for their base to make the base game work.
They engaged with along the way as well, right? We want to make sure that that players are having a really fun time, a rewarding time while they're playing Diablo 4, and that they can find opportunities to be appropriately challenged as they go through the experience as well. We think there's more opportunities for us to kind of like grow and expand the offerings of things that players can have access to, the things they can go experience, at that stage of the game.
Awesome. Question from Old Dudes, New Games. I love these names. They're so good. What about Codex resetting when swapping characters? That was actually just an issue on PTR. Like when you swapped characters and stuff like that. sorry.
Yeah, when you
Lost
swap,
the
then
mic.
you use the when you use the boost NPC. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was not a thing that you will experience with season 4, and so that's not a common thing.
So the codex will
actually happen. Which just was a bug that we had in PTR. There's a lot of questions here about the mine cage, and I just want to maybe clarify with the players. Opus Crocus says, if you consume more than one, does the mine cage stack or does the timer reset?
Timer reset, I think.
Yeah, the timer resets.
Timer resets.
Timer
okay.
resets.
And then
so that you can't boost your monster level up to like as high as you want.
From Optics. Do mine cages trigger for a single player or your whole group if you're grouped up?
Single player.
Just a single player. Yeah, it's a personal thing. Okay. All right. So
you could be in a group and pop a mine cage and have harder monsters than your friends.
We want feedback on this, by the way, too. So when you get a chance to play with the mine cage during the season, like tell us what you think. We want to know.
Well, I'll be playing this season.
This is from
the changes
games. Do unique items
are
get
good.
a stat/functionality boost since tempered legendaries are just straight up better? And is it generally not worth it to equip a unique item after the patch?
Yeah, I mean, I think Adam can speak to some of these changes if you wanted to jump in, but we've done a pass on all the unique items. We've done things like Razor Blade, I think has 4 Thorns affixes, and we changed what the legendary power is.
Yeah. By the way, that was a big question we got from people in PTR because they were like, hey, what about
Razor Blade? We heard a lot. No, we had to change Razor Blade. Yeah, it'll be cool.
And it's actually in the patch notes, and yeah, it's a lot of Thorns.
Razor Blade's hilarious. We still love it.
It's hilarious.
I wanted to just have like 1 so you can't miss on Masterworking.
Yeah. What I'll say though about the unique to legendary item power level, I suppose, is that we knew when we were making these tempering changes and updating those that we wanted legendaries because they kind of have they have kind of different identities right now in the game, and so we're still figuring out what we want to do with uniques long term. But the idea is that like legendary items or items really, they have a journey, and you're working on them, and there's a story to them, and you get it, and it's not like a one-stop shop. You're done, kind of like how they were before. Uniques, a part of their identity is that you get a unique and it's freaking awesome and really powerful and very exciting, and you have it and you're done with it. And so we're keeping this discrepancy of like what their purposes are in the game for now.
Okay, I feel like that's fine.
We did take a look at some uniques, but we didn't do a whole pass of every single unique now has 5 affixes or something like that. Like we wanted them to be a little bit different, have different identities. So we do kind of expect that uniques may be less prevalent than they were before. We still believe, though, that a lot of uniques are really key for various builds, and so you're still going to want them. But you're not going to want,
you have to have the
unique
Tempest,
in every single slot
whatever it's called, helmet for your werewolf build.
Sometimes some builds will want more uniques, some will want less, and we want to kind of see how that plays first before making sweeping changes. Some obvious roads we could take is like adding crafting to uniques. What if you could temper them? What if you could do these other things, right? Like, we know that that's a thing, and we may do that in the future, but we're kind of evaluating this world where it's not clearly always you only get one or the other, and we kind of want to see how that goes first before making any big changes.
Yeah, and the fixed nature sort of has you consider it's part of your optimization puzzle, right?
Yes.
Like, well, I'm going to give up some tempering affixes to get this unique, for example, in my chest slot, for example. And we sort of want to see where that goes. Like, we think that that's fun, and we think that the excitement of a unique are those fixed stats. When you see the item on the ground, like, oh, okay, that's the unique I want. I can just equip it. I don't even have to work on it.
Yeah.
It's just like there for me. So.
Well, and some of them have powers that are build enabling, so you have to wear them.
Masterworking, or not masterworking,
we
but
did talk about masterworking.
A lot.
We did talk.
I know.
We've done it twice on stream.
Did we talk about groups and with the pit?
I didn't write it down, and I didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of feedback that it sucks to help someone with their pit run and just not get any masterworking material. It's like, well, why am I here? So what we've done is we've made it so that the person who opens the pit is going to get 100% of the masterworking materials. Previously, I think it was split, maybe across all players. And what we've done now is that the person who opens it gets 100%, and then everyone who helps defeat the pit gets 50% of that target goal. So we're trying to walk that line where group play isn't just like totally overwhelmingly efficient, but you're still getting something for helping each other like, go through those pit levels.
Yeah, we heard a lot of feedback about players going like, it feels
Why are they scared of group playing being totally
in general,
super
there's
efficient?
still some tension with how players feel about the efficiency of groups versus the efficiency of solo play with like boss summons and things like that. These are things we're thinking about. We have ideas on. But
Well, of course it's going to be more efficient in the group because you have more players gathering materials and being able to summon the bosses
we're getting questions
a lot
about,
faster.
Hey, are there any updates on
that doesn't make any sense.
And things like that coming to D4? Don't know if we have anything to share right now. Right, it's something obviously the team is very well. You guys ask all the time, so we're very aware of it. And the team is been looking at it, and once we have more to share, we'll end up sharing it with you guys. But for right now, we don't have.
I don't know. I feel like groups should be more efficient because you have more players
if there's plans of
doing stuff.
Leaderboards to
like that just is like a common sense.
Exclusively on the Gauntlet.
Makes logical sense to me.
Leaderboards, other types of content over time makes sense. Could be pretty fun, But right now, I really want to see how the pit plays on its own. The trials feature and challenge ladder, like we really want that to be a place where players can, or the Gauntlet, like, it's a place we really want players to be able to like go and compete in a very fixed environment, a very extremely fair environment, which is like what we really prioritize as part of the release. The pit is pretty variable, run to run, so that makes it a little more complicated. It doesn't mean that we would never add it. I think that there's a clear indicator that it'd be pretty fun to have this slightly looser leaderboard associated with a feature like this.
Yeah.
But we're going to see how things play out, and we'll be thinking about how we can add more competitive features like that to the game over time.
Question from LotRO here. I'm not pronounce that right, but
LotRO here. I think that is actually
nailed it.
It's like an elven name right now.
Since not everyone actually experienced PTR because PTR itself was on PC Battle.net, but. They were asking when tempering, can you keep previous rolls?
Can you keep previous rolls?
Like the enchanting system.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, we don't have the functionality to let you keep the roll. Right now, if you're going to commit to re-rolling, you're going to lose that previous one.
You're committing to re-rolling.
Yeah, it's sort of like the blacksmith is hammering on that item and unlocking different aspects of the weapon. You sort of lose what you previously had. But we're open to feedback, right? It's a completely new feature. Really want to hear how it's playing, and then ultimately what we want is a fun crafting feature. So that sort of feedback is really valuable.
We'll take two more, and one is from Matt LOL. Is tempering going to allow changes for the skills, the skill type, like maybe lightning hydras, or maybe changes to Blizzard where it's a rain of fire or something like that?
That's pretty cool.
Honestly, anything an Apex can do.
Yeah.
Is open.
They need to have more conversions like that.
Not in season 4, but possibly in the future.
Awesome. And this is actually from a.
There's a lot of space to grow.
There is.
Utility is a category that we can do. There's a lot of space to do interesting things potentially. Yeah.
There's a lot of questions in here about like additional character customization options and stuff like that coming in the future. It is like something that the team is always looking at, adding additional things for players to have more choice of what they want to do, especially as they're creating characters. And of course, being able to obtain those, like even just some things in season 4 of being able to get additional, cosmetic things for your mount and everything like that is something that the team is most definitely looking at.
Yeah, we care about this a great deal. I think one thing that's very interesting about Diablo 4, or a problem that we have that's very specific, right, is there are actually quite a few cosmetics for players to earn out on bosses and things, like throughout the game. Like there's lots of things for players to collect cosmetically in the game. But it's really hard to know that drops off that thing in Diablo 4. Like you can fight a world boss 50 times and not have a drop occur for you, right? Like then eventually you get your special horse. You're like, oh, okay, it is here, but you have no idea. So it's kind of like it's harder to know exactly where to grind.
Yeah.
We actually talked about that a bit on the dev side. See if like there's more ways we can kind of like make it clear where certain things can be found, which I think could be really fun.
Yeah.
But I think that there's work we can do there, and also there's still work we can do about just trying to get more cool looks into the game. So we've been talking a lot more with the various teams inside Diablo 4.
They're adding all the cool looks to the shop.
More cool stuff to you guys, and more cool stuff for players to find and pick up and equip and feel like it was really exciting to get that thing. One thing we're doing like already is we're like as we develop more uniques, we're trying to make sure that we have like more unique appearances to go with all of them. We have like a lot of really fun ideas. And we have to constantly like wrestle with like, all right, we only have like this X many swords, but like we have like this many ideas for swords, and we want to like try to get this in the game. We want to wait till we have the artwork for a sword. We usually try to make sure that we've got a fun toy to immediately give you. But we're going to make sure we're trying to get more of that stuff in game as well. So there's just even more artwork to the unique system for players to collect.
Awesome. So that's all the time we got right here for today. We went over all the changes, or not actually. There's more changes. There's actually more changes in the patch notes.
Yeah, I'll have to go over the patch notes after this.
Over a stream, so you guys can actually check out the patch notes. Those will be available on Diablo4.com.
Oh, yeah, after this, I'm going to take a break and get some lunch and stuff, and
patch notes page, and those will be live immediately.
Call it
after
good for today,
stream.
but
Season 4, Loot Reborn, starts on May 14th.
May 14th.
This is across all platforms. It's on
May
PC,
14th
Xbox,
is
PlayStation, and of course, if you're an Xbox and PC Game Pass user, you can also play Diablo 4 now.
So it's not the 17th.
PC Battle.net or on your Xbox. So lots of opportunities to play, and of course Steam.
So
can't forget Steam. Steam is also on there for PC.
May 8th is
also a platform. We're everywhere.
So May 8th is V Rising, and then the 14th.
Everywhere. Again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're looking forward to you guys jumping into Season 4 Loot Reborn. We'll see you guys on...
The changes are enough to make me come back and play Diablo 4 for sure. To try it out and test it with the loot. Alright, thank you for watching. Alright, yeah. Speaking of which, thank you all for watching. And I think I'm going to make a video going over the patch notes. That'll be a separate thing later on, because I need to like get some lunch and food. I'm hungry. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later.